Well, hello everybody. Yes, it is an early morning here on the wet West Coast. There, I am Jordan here on Groovy Media, as well as we also have on Drinks and Chat there. Well, also just to let you know, sorry, I had to change the feedback there. Um, just waiting for Mark Carney. He's expected to arrive in about 45 minutes to redo Hull to ask the governor to dissolve the um, as he was just selected as prime minister. He doesn't have a seat. He's running in Ottawa Nepean. There's a lot of candidates. Everybody is scurrying. The bus drivers, everything like that. This is an absolute scary time there. Good to see you there, Joe. There, welcome in there. I'm on two channels. This is going to be a very interesting one there, and I'm going to bring that to you guys live. We are going to watch this. We're going to have coffee, by the way. That is the drink there. And anyone that does on Groovy, yeah, there anybody here in the Okanagan, I will tell you our local candidates. There isn't very many because it is a snap election. But I will tell you that I'm going to be bringing to you there. I'll also show you some of the writings of that. So yes, at noon, it will officially it'll be locked, and we will then be heading to the polls April 28th. We'll be going, and we will be voting. This is going to be the earliest because, well, Mark Carney says that if you screw up, that is it there, folks. And he is so right. If you screw up, it is it there. So good morning. Hopefully you have a cup of coffee, maybe something else. Maybe you are scrambling trying to find a campaign office there. Maybe you're setting up a campaign office. Who knows? Getting ready to welcome your candidate, or you're holding a nomination meeting there. But we're going to bring to you live Mark Carney. He visits to you when he goes to the Governor General, which is Mary Simon. She will dissolve Parliament. We will come back with a little more seats. And we're going to come back with more people because there's 343, there's 338, 5 more seats, 5 new ridings. And we are going to then let you guys, we're going to see this, and we're going to be talking about the landscape. We left here Justin Trudeau won a minority government. He was propped up by Jagmeet Singh and the NDP party. Okay, and then we had the Liberals. It was Aaron O'Toole. Well, there were several. There was Andrew Scheer. There was Aaron O'Toole. Um, and now Pierre Poilievre will have a chance, a crack at it there, as he is slipping in the polls. It is an absolute dead heat tie between the Liberals and the Conservatives as they are fighting for Toronto. Toronto is the battleground area there. Hamilton is an area there. Ottawa, that is total Liberal territory. So that's no point in touching there, except Pierre's when they're NDP, they're about to lose party status. They're about to lose party status. They're supposed to go from 25 seats down to 10 seats there if the projections remain the same. But anything could happen on a campaign. And that's why Mark Carney says they could get their seats that they are projected to win if they have a short campaign. But it all is up to, the Governor General, Mary Simon. He swore his new cabinet in there. He went across the country to visit both British King Charles, came back, went to the Nunavut area there to the north. Then he met with ministers. He was on the ice, of course, with an NHL hockey team. He made a bunch of announcements. And then now today we find ourselves Sunday and going to be very soon in the next hour and 19 minutes going to the polls. The issues that changed was Donald Trump. tariffs took everything. 2.5 months ago there, Pierre would have won a historic 229 uh, 229 seats now, and the Liberal Party would be like a non-existent. Now we look at the landscape, and it's a fight. The NDP are dissolving away their seats are leaving, and we now see that the Liberals have overtaken the Conservatives. But like I say, anything can happen in election, and we've seen this where the Liberals have called it, and then they've lost it in the last few days of that. As you can see the picture behind me, there's a guy going to the polls April 28th, folks. Canadians, mark your calendars. Don't go on vacation anywhere. Stay home. Got to go to the polls, and you got to get out to vote. If you do not vote, you cannot complain. So no complaining if you don't vote. It's as plain as simple as that, folks. So, like I say, right now, campaign buses, the media, we see lots of stuff happening, lots of action happening. I'm waiting for I'm going to bring it to you live once we could get the outside of Redo Hall. I believe that there's going to be a huge press conference. So I'm just going to pull that up there. I'm going to go to, there we go. Okay, let's see. Well, I wonder if it's the other one there. What's the other one there? Why is there two? Oh, no, that's the other. Okay, this is this one here. Anything live yet? Nothing yet. So when we are notified of something that is live, we will indeed be bringing it to you there, folks, there. Hey, Chris, how are you there? Good to see you there, Chris Freestone there. Yeah, this is going to be a very, very hotly contested. I can tell you right now, it is like everyone, Hamilton, Toronto, mainly Toronto, that's where you're going to see the leaders on day one. Day two, you're going to see them in Hamilton. Then they're going to go back day 3, day 4. They're going to be in Ontario. They're going to come out to BC. Apparently, from what I'm gathered from a lot of sources and that, is that BC is going to decide for the very first time the election. We're going to have a late night on April 28th there, folks. But the main battleground you're going to see is Quebec, Ontario, and BC. Let's say that if the polls stay the same, well, Pierre Poilievre is going to have to settle as opposition, but he's going to gain more seats, way more seats than projected, but he's just not going to be the prime minister. And I know a lot of us here, some of us do want it, some of us don't. So we got to be respectful and that. So let's go. Good morning, GGAD. Let's go through some of the comments. We have James SKCA. Okay, let's see that. He's got his chair. The NDP are nearly bankrupt. They are indeed. They are having trouble And then we've got, Chris. There's no voting our way out of this mess we're in. And I'm going to bring up to the point there because Carney. Everyone's like, he's a banker. Yes, but let's look at everything. He moved his business, Brookfield, to the States. He was also the Bank of England bankrupt them there. And he was Trudeau's advisor since 2020 during the pandemic. So we had to look at all angles of every politician. Pierre Poilievre, 3 years he's been elected leader of the Conservative Party there. This is going to be a very interesting. I will tell you right now, out of all the federal elections that I have been a part of, that I have worked or anything like that, this is going to be a nasty campaign. You're going to see a lot of mud throwing and a lot of mud slinging happen. And no, I don't mean that because it is springtime or anything like that, and people are in their gardens. But yeah, you're going to see the dirty plants basically go into the waste garbage. Yeah, James says the polls are always 50-50 on election day. They are. Anything can happen. But let's also remember that the polls in the states suggested Kamala Harris, and then look what happened. The last month or so, I mean, I know we're in a shorter campaign. The last month or so, wow, did Donald Trump get some steam there, and then pulled ahead and won. And so anything is possible. Uh, I think the downfall is that Pierre Poilievre has to change his narrative. He's got stay off this whole Trump tariff thing there. Talk to Canadians what matter the most there. He needs to stand up for Canada, of course, but he needs to change that narrative. Let's get him off it. Let's move off it. This is only just a temporary thing there. Um, and of course, for Mark Carney, he's going to have the help of the Clintons. You're going to see the Clintons on this campaign trail. They're already in Toronto. Bill is gone to just outside of Hamilton there. I'm not sure that the city is called there. He's already, they're going to have a campaign, I believe, at 3 o'clock Eastern time. That is noon Pacific time. So the Clintons are up there. Michelle Obama is headed up there to help Mark Carney there. The NDP, they've got a couple of people that are going to be helping them there. Pierre Poilievre, nobody is helping him. Doug Ford has even jumped ship, and he's now a Mark Carney supporter. He's actually pushing for Ontarians to vote for Mark Carney and the Liberal Party, which is shocking considering before that Mark Carney, like it was like he didn't like Trudeau, but now she went back to the Liberal ship. This is a guy who is a PC, who's a conservative. So there's lots of things that we can dive into. I'm waiting for the video so I can pull up that, so don't mind me. I'm just waiting to see when we will get that news. But this is looking like it's yeah, this has been looking like it is there. I'm also going to be pulling up while I can the elections there. So I want to pull up uh, the maps here in the interior in the Okanagan in British Columbia. As like I said, it is set. Hang on here. Okay. Let's go to just bear with me here because they did change this. Elections Canada decided let's do an update. We have a by-election in Halifax. I don't understand that, but that's okay. Hang on here. Elections. I want to look at. Uh, bear with me here. Past elections. Yes, there we go. That's what I want. No. No. I want to know territories. Okay. Political. Is it this one here? List of parties. Bear with me here, folks. Thank you guys for being here. Where is it? They did. They loved. I love it when Elections Canada the night before they revamped the website. Yesterday it was right there. Today it's where is it? Oh yes, here we go. Parties. No. I want the districts. Tools. Hang on here. Where is it? Okay, I'm gonna look for the districts. I'm gonna actually look for. Okay, so there are Okanagan ones. I'm gonna just look. Let's look at BC elections Canada map. That's it. I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna look into that. Okay, so we do. There we go. Nope, I want the picture. I want the picture. Welcome in there, everyone. Make sure you guys get your coffee, as this will be a very interesting one here. We're going to show you. Oh, yes. No. I want the new ones. That's right. Thank you. I want the new ones. We're in the right area here. I want the new ones. Yes. Boundaries, existing boundaries. No, I want the new one. Give me the new one. I hate that. They are here. Here we go. Here we go. Is this it down here? Nope, no, I don't want that one there. I want the new one. Okay, so I can't find it right now. I will look. Good morning, Mishka. Just discussing Canadians will be going to the polls April 28th. And of course, just discussing some of the stuff there. And while we're waiting for the Governor General to greet Prime Minister Mark Carney of the Liberal Party to dissolve. We will then listen. I believe she's going to come out to speak there. Sometimes, usually she does. And yeah, it is. It's going to be very interesting there. So I'm just looking. I want to go through in this area here for but they changed everything. No, I don't want Vancouver maps. I could care less about Vancouver. I want the updated one there. The maps, the party maps. Here we go. Electoral district maps, please. Yes, thank you very much. Oh, right, yes. Recently moved. Where did it move to? I love this. This is so great. No, I want the maps. Electoral district. Yes, yes, thank you, thank you. That's what I want. The maps. That's what I want. I clicked on it. It says, "Oh yeah, we've got the 343 ones already." Yeah, that's the one I want. Then when I went to go, page not found. All right. Yes, thank you. That's the one I want. Is it here? Nope. Still wrong one. Gotta go here. That is. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Maybe it's under here. Redistribution of the maps, because they have changed. A lot of maps have also changed, incorporated. Some of them have changed. They just have one name. They got two names and everything like that. Okay, hang on here. Yes, beautiful. That's what I want. Thank you. So I will. I want to go to. There we go. That's what I want. British Columbia. Wow, there's a lot of clicking. Why can't they just? No. No, that's not updated yet. Somebody is really slacking on the job at, Elections Canada here. Yes, that's what I want. No kidding. That's what I want. Okay, maybe we can just look in here. Okay, hang on here. I wonder if I could pull this up. Yes, we need to look into that area there. Okay. No, I don't need Ontario. I want BC. You got to be kidding me. I just had this up and they changed it. What do they do? Take it off? Don't you just love Elections Canada there? Okay, hang on here. Well, I got the map, so we're in a right direction, but we haven't got it yet there. Okay, no, I want the mapping system, electoral districts, maps, plain and simple. Thank you. Oh, they're currently updating it there. Oh, great. So they just kicked me out. Okay, well, thank you so much, Elections Canada. I so love you guys. They're not. Okay, so they're updating the maps. They're updating the whole website. It is currently all unavailable right now there, folks, there. But that's okay. I am waiting for when I see, because I'm going to bring to you live everything. We're going to bring to you the first day of when he does go to visit the Governor General, and that is going to be a pretty cool scene to see. You'll all get to witness it, though. Those of you, though, in the States, if you guys do want to see how Canadian politics do work there, you're going to get to see it. Yes, we probably will hear some French as, they have to speak French there, folks, but Yes. Good to see, Mishka Bear. Good to see you there. And like I said, my name is Jordan. We're also here on Groovy Media. So anybody here in the Okanagan, let me just tell you that it's Okanagan, Similkameen. Then we've got no, it's Okanagan, Central Okanagan Riding. Uh, Hang on here. I may need to do that. Where is that? I'm going to go do that. James. Yeah, hang on here. Dated 338 federal. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's where well, I want to do the electoral district. I'm gonna go back to James's. Canada.com. Okay. Thank you. Good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much there, James. I want to see the map though. Wow. Okay, hang tight here. Okay, just hang tight here. I want the maps though. The electoral maps. Why can't I not click on it? Oh, maybe I can. Do I wonder? Where do they show the maps there? James. Curious where they show the electoral districts. Thank you. Um, yeah, but they don't show the maps. Maps. I know what the party is and I know what everything is, but they don't show the maps. Where's C? Okay. It's okay. I'll work on that there. Yeah, I did. I looked at that there. Thank you very much there, James. Curious boundaries. Okay, so I wonder. Okay, what? How does the? I'm just looking at the area here. Okay, how does that happen? Okay, okay. Yeah, but I want the electoral maps. That's what I'm looking for on here. Okay, well, maybe I will just have to do that another day there because I am not going to waste any time. But what I will do is I'm going to just read out in British Columbia the ones in the Okanagan that I'm going to be paying attention to. Here, yes. British Columbia. Thank you very much. Oh, so they amalgamated the prairies. Yeah, I've barely had any sleep. So the ones that I am going to be paying attention to is going to be Kamloops, Shuswap, Central Rockies. That is a one there that is held right now by conservative. It is going to be continued to be held conservative there. Um, then we go to Kamloops, Thompson, Nicola. That one there is also held by a conservative. There it's Frank Caputo. That one there will continue to be um, a, uh, a conservative there. Okay, hang on here. We got Kelowna, which is held by Tracy Gray. A lot of you may have seen her there. It's just called Kelowna. There's no Lake Country there. That one is CP. That one was flipping all night long yesterday there. It was liberal. Now it's back to to the Conservative Party likely. We are going to go down to Okanagan, Lake West, South Kelowna. That is held by MP Dan Elpis, and that was central Okanagan, Nicola Valley there. It was Similkameen. That is now changed. That riding boundary has changed. That is now, that's going to be still held by conservative. Okay, these are flipping back and forth there, and I could just see, we don't know. Oh, wow. Okay, this is interesting. So now we go to Similkameen, South Okanagan, West Kootenay. That's where I live. And that one there is a CPC. That's a conservative safe. What we mean is it's pretty much locked in. unless something really, really happens there. It was held by an NDP. Then there's another one, Vernon Lake Country Monashee. It's held by it was held by Mel Arnold. There is now a new candidate there who is running, and it's held by Conservative. That's a safe one. Where else? I believe that there another one. So those are the ones that I'm going to be watching for. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 ridings that I will be paying attention to. And those ones there will be ones that I am. So I am just waiting for the Governor General to come and visit. They're supposed to be starting it there. Yes, James, I'm looking at CPAC there. I'm always paying attention to them. No, not yet. I'm going to waiting for them to go live. And you cannot do CBC. I was struck by CBC, just to let you guys know. So it is got to be CPAC. Yep, I did. I had a strike. So, but CPAC, no problem. I'm just waiting. So if you're just joining us here, yes, we are. We're headed to the polls. We are going to, it's April 28th, 2025. That, of course, is a Monday, and it's going to happen a week after my vacation, or I might not have to go, might not get a vacation until this is all done and over with there. So yes, we're just discussing, talking that Mark Carney, that's right, he doesn't have a seat, so he cannot call Parliament back there. It's the only thing left to do on his list is to call a general federal election, as he's been spending money and spitting out money left, right, and center. They just talked about BC Transit. So some of my areas there that I'm covering there, like Kamloops, like Kelowna, like the Okanagan area there, the Similkameen, they'll all benefit, and some money will go to them. So that's a good thing. Although he just a bunch of money is there. The dental program last night was just announced. It's going to be extended. They've extended that. I haven't really gotten all the details, but I just heard that they've had a meeting with the premiers across Canada, and they're all united and they're all one. So yes, just hang on a minute here. Okay, sorry, I just had to get the sleepers out of my eye, as it's going to be game on there. Once the election is called there, we are going to have, from what I'm gathered, and I'm just looking at the press stuff here, we are going to see the Governor General dissolve Parliament there. And she may speak, she may not. Last time she didn't, but this time she may. Then we're going to see Mark Carney, followed by Pierre Poilievre, followed by Jagmeet Singh and Elizabeth May. And then you're going to see them where they're all going to scramble. It's kind of like the Amazing Race, where they're all scrambling to get to the airport, to get in their bus, and to get to the next destination, so that way they can bring the media coverage with them. And of course, today we will bring you the coverage, not tomorrow, today, because tomorrow I probably will be busy doing other things there. So we have, there's a lot to be talked about there, but I'm just waiting for the Governor General Mary Simons to dissolve Parliament as we head into election campaign. It's going to be one of the shortest 35 days, and we will head to the polls there, folks. So just bear with me here. I'm just waiting. They should be going live soon. Hang on here. Where are they? Yeah, I know that they will. I know that they're scheduled to do that. I wonder if CBC will. Let me see. I don't mind getting struck by CBC. Okay, you know what? I'm going to do CBC. Okay, I'm going to bring this up here, folks. Yep, where is it? I'm going to bring up CBC. Hello, Mouse. Good to see you there. Make sure you guys do hit the like button there. I'm going to give it a try. Maybe. Here we go. Share screen. Where are we?
Both mentioned it's looking like there's a possibility if there's an election today, they could be
Here we
entering
go.
majority territory. And one of the big questions that we've had is where would Mark Carney run in this election? And we found out last night he's going to be running here in Ottawa in the riding of Nepean. And that is the same riding that borders along the riding that his main opponent in this race, Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative leader, is running in. So that would be interesting to watch unfold as they campaign. Could they be campaigning in some of the same areas at the same time? We know that after Mark Carney shows up here today and heads inside, he's going to be coming outside in the area behind us and holding a press conference. And then he's off to his first stop of this campaign. He's going to be headed to the airport to head to St. John's, Newfoundland. And that's an area, one of the provinces that the only province actually during his leadership campaign that they didn't hit, and a place where they are neck in the polls with the Conservatives.
Okay, Ashley Burke, we will come back to you. Thank you so much for that. Ashley's going to be covering the Liberal Party in this first week of the election campaign as it kicks off. As we did, there are also stakes, of course, for the Conservative Party, a party that thought just months ago it was going to form government. Now, not so clear. Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives in 45 seconds.
Your priority, sir. Election?
Priority? Axe the tax.
Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives dominated in the polls with a consistent message and demand.
Trigger a carbon tax election now.
But then from the U.S., a political earthquake.
I would love to see Canada be the 51st state.
Polls narrowed. Poilievre's message shifted.
Are there any patriots in the room who are ready to put Canada first?
The Conservatives have lost 3 straight elections under 3 different leaders. But over his 20-plus years in office, Poilievre has shown a talent for political combat. And this election will be his biggest battle yet. Kate McKenna is at Pierre Poilievre's campaign launch in Ottawa, where we are going to hear from Pierre Poilievre in just moments. That's just outside of Ottawa, I believe. But Kate, tell me what you're hearing about how today is going to unfold for the Conservative leader.
Well, this is the day that they have been waiting for months, Rosie. And as you alluded to, they went into this months and months of very strong polling. They even felt that they could have won the 2021 election a few years ago. So this is definitely Pierre Poilievre's campaign to lose. It is kicking off in just a few minutes. There will be an announcement featuring Pierre Poilievre before even Mark Carney makes this race official. But what I'm hearing from Conservatives is that they're going to try to tie the affordability message that they've been so strong on over the past few months to the Donald Trump tariff threats, creating this Canada First message that they've been promoting over the past couple of months. And in a way, it's sort of them saying, you know, we told you this was going to happen. We told you that there wasn't enough investment in Canada. We told you that there should have been a cross-country pipeline. And they're saying that, you know, Mark Carney's announcement on Friday that he is going to fast-track permitting, that he is going to get more resource projects done. He said, well, Conservatives are telling me, well, you know, that's something we've been saying for a long time, and that's not something that the Liberals have been doing while they're in power. So they're going to be trying to tie Mark Carney to Justin Trudeau's record. They're also going to be calling it, we've heard, the lost decade of Liberal power, that, you know, that they are truly the campaign that is the change offering, because ahead of Donald Trump's tariff threats, there was a clear message in public opinion polling that Canadians want change. They're going to be saying that they are that change. So after this news conference that they're holding in a few minutes, Pierre Poilievre is going to his riding, Carleton, where he'll be doing his campaign office launch, and then he's going to the GTA. And of course, that's a strategic decision. I've been speaking to people here, and they say, it's not just now they're going to the GTA. They've been going to the GTA since he was elected leader, because many roads to a Conservative victory go through Ontario, go through the GTA, and that's where they're going to be starting with the big rally with the first rally of this campaign.
Okay, and Kate McKenna, the Conservatives not traveling with the media. They are giving us a few days heads up. So Kate McKenna will be chasing them down with that 2 or 3 days notice across the country for us this first week. Kate, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. We've been talking a little bit already about the NDP and where things stands for Jagmeet Singh. The polls showing a very, very difficult time for the NDP this time around. Here's Jagmeet Singh and the NDP in 45 seconds. For the NDP, it is a moment of truth. As Justin Trudeau's popularity was plunging, Jagmeet Singh pulled his party's support for the Liberals in Parliament.
I notified the Prime Minister that I've ripped up the supply and confidence agreement.
The NDP's role in propping up the minority government gave them leverage in their successful push for pharmacare and dental care.
We didn't take no for an answer when Liberals voted against it twice.
But recent polls show support for the NDP slipping. This is Singh's third election, his third chance to build his party's support.
New Democrats are your choice. We've shown you before that we can fight for you and deliver, and we can show you that again.
Right now, the NDP is fighting to hold the line. So that is what is at stake for the NDP. Marina von Stackelberg joins us from the NDP's campaign launch. That's happening in downtown Ottawa. Marina, what are we hearing about how the day's going to unfold for the NDP leader?
Yeah, well, we expect Jagmeet Singh to launch his campaign here in downtown Ottawa and then head to Montreal for a rally this evening. This might be the first election for Mark Carney as leader of the Liberals and for Pierre Poilievre as the leader of the Conservatives, but this is Jagmeet Singh's third election campaign. And so this could be a defining moment for the New Democrats and for Jagmeet Singh as a leader. I asked him a few days ago, if you can't improve the NDP's fortunes, will you step down? And he said he's focused on this campaign right now. So where does the NDP stand? Well, they have 24 seats in the House of Commons right now. Recent polling suggests that a majority of those seats could be at risk, including Jagmeet Singh's own riding. And so we expect that the NDP will be going across the country, hitting those key areas where they have support, including Vancouver Island, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Northern Ontario, and Southwestern Ontario as well. The focus for the NDP, they say, will be that they are the people to support Canadians through a difficult economic crisis and to deal with the threat of Donald Trump and the tariff impacts on working Canadians. Now, this is what they're up against, though. They supported the Liberal minority government for more than 2 years in return for key legislation like dental care, but we heard just yesterday the Liberals announced that they plan to expand the program after this election. And so the question for the NDP is, how do they convince voters that they are still the party to vote for, to hold the government to account? They are also up against the fact that the Conservatives are trying to get into that working class vote. They are trying to pull those voters away from the New Democrats. As progressive voters, potentially, this is potentially a spot for the NDP to make gains, though. As Mark Carney moves the Liberal Party further to the right, is there an opportunity here for the New Democrats to pick up votes? They say, the NDP say today, that they are the readiest that they've ever been, the readiest they've been in a decade. They have the cash and the team with them, and they are used to being underestimated, and that right now they're ready for a fight.
Okay, and I think they're going to get one. Marina von Stackelberg, thank you. You'll be traveling with the NDP through this first week of the campaign. Appreciate that very much. The Bloc Québécois and Yves-François Blanchet find themselves also in a similar position, having a hard time staking out ground in Quebec as the threat of Donald Trump is real for people in that province as well. Here's a close look at the Bloc Québécois. Yves-François Blanchet's Bloc Québécois had momentum, seizing a Montreal riding from the Liberals in a by-election just a few months ago, on a path, some suggested, to forming the official opposition. But in what's becoming a theme, Donald Trump upended the trend.
Canada is going to be a very serious contender to be our 51st state.
Now focus is on the sovereignty, not of Quebec, but of the entire country.
I don't believe you want to annex Canada. That's one of his fantasies, and he might sometimes believe himself. I'm not his psychiatrist.
Quebec industries like aluminum, agriculture, lumber are in the crosshairs of Trump's tariffs too. This is Blanchet's third election. Will Quebec voters turn to his party to protect them? A good idea of what is at stake for the Bloc Québécois. Rafi Boudjikanian is in Montreal at that launch event for the first week of the campaign. Rafi, what are you hearing about how the day will unfold for them?
Rosie, we expect to see Yves-François Blanchet hold a news conference a couple of hours after we'll hear from Liberal leader Mark Carney. He'll do that at a restaurant called Le Molière, just in case you had any doubt about whether or not he's again going to try to cast himself as the protector of Quebec identity, of the French language. And yes, of course, you can expect sovereignty to be in their platform. However, as you alluded to, Blanchet will be looking to position himself as someone who can still be in this national conversation about who can protect Canada, or Quebec in his case, from the threats represented by Donald Trump. He went from dominant in Quebecers' voters' intentions to slumping behind the Liberals once Justin Trudeau resigned and Mark Carney took the helm of that party. That being said, behind the Liberals is exactly where they were in 2021 at the start of that election campaign. And Blanchet did actually manage to hold on to all 32 seats that the Bloc had, and he added one more with that Montreal by-election. Now, Blanchet will also hammer home environmental themes. For the last few days, he's been going on about how there can be no pipelines going through Quebec, exactly as Carney himself has started talking about the needs for national energy corridors, though Carney, of course, has been careful not to directly say that those corridors would go through Quebec. Blanchet has one clear advantage in this race that he has not had in the past few ones, his mastery of the French language compared to Carney. Of course, the last few times he was up against Justin Trudeau, who was fluently bilingual. You can expect Blanchet to try to press that advantage in at least one French language debate. Often Quebec sees two of those. This year, TVA, the French private network that holds its own debate, has asked for $75,000 each from the four main parties as participation fees, if you will, to pay off logistics. Now, Blanchet's party was the first one to come up and say, yes, they will pay this money, and also to really bait all the other parties into joining up as well. So far, the Liberals have not committed to paying that fee. They say there's no decision yet. So you can already see Blanchet trying to sort of position himself on that front.
Okay, Rafi Boudjikanian, thank you for that. You're in Montreal. You'll be traveling the province with the Bloc Québécois for this first week. Appreciate it very much. The Green Party also launching their campaign in Montreal. Remember, the Green Party has now shifted to a co-leader model. Jonathan Pedneau and Elizabeth May, though we're told Jonathan Pedneau will really be leading the national campaign, will be the person in the debates, the person doing the interviews, but we'll, of course, cover their campaign as well through the course of the next 5 weeks or so. As we've been talking about, Canadians, you are all very, very engaged with the threat of Donald Trump, the tariff war, and of course, politics at this moment. And you're going to get a chance to weigh in this election. Of course, you're going to follow it and you're going to make a decision in terms of your vote, but you're also going to be able to weigh in on this, on all of our CBC platforms and across programs right across the country. We'll start that off with CBC News chief correspondent, Adrienne Arsenault. She's in St. John, New Brunswick today for an election roadshow, one of many that she'll be doing over the next 5 weeks. Adrienne, good to see you.
Hey, Rosie, how are you?
I'm good. So what are you hearing? Obviously, you and I have talked about it. People are really paying attention to things right now. What are they talking to you about?
Well, I mean, you said it, tariffs. That's really the reason why we chose St. John, New Brunswick. The Chamber of Commerce did a study at the beginning of all of this 51st state and tariff stuff from the United States, and they determined that St. John in New Brunswick is the most vulnerable to tariffs, the city that is the most vulnerable to tariffs in the entire country. So you've got seafood, you've got forestry, you've got oil, you've got the largest crude refinery in Canada right here. 80% of what it refines on a daily basis goes to the United States. So you can imagine that when you talk about tariffs, there's anxiety here, that there's a fair amount of hurt. Of course, there is the notion of, hey, we're resilient. We have options to work together and to help each other out. Echoes of what we're hearing countrywide, but there is also this element of hurt that is hard to get past. Even when you hear, Rosie, people talk about, well, maybe there will be help for businesses with some loans. There are still echoes here of the difficulty of trying to pay back the debt from the pandemic loans. That still isn't cleared for a lot of people. And so the notion of having to take on new loans is exhausting for them. Economically, people have taken a big hit for a long time. So they're not looking forward to this. The anger sometimes manifests itself in interesting ways. In Uptown St. John here at the market, there's often like a big Canadian flag and a big American flag and a British flag, because of course, when cruise season happens here, they welcome the world. The American flag is gone. They took it down. That's not something that they do easily here. And maybe it's a little thing to some people. I don't think it's a little thing to people here. So one of our producers went out, spoke to people in Uptown St. John, not a scientific survey, of course, but here's a sense of how they're feeling and what issues are top of mind for them. Have a listen.
I think more so like inflation and cost of living in Canada at the moment, because it's getting harder and harder for our generation with the young kids to balance everything, plus the stuff that's going on right now with like the tariffs. So yeah, I'd like to see how that turns out over the next year.
I think we need to have a clean sweep, even though I think Carney's a great guy, but there's too many of the same bureaucrats and the same people there and the same policies. If they absolutely would put through pipelines and resurrect us from the wilderness and develop mines and businesses and encourage businesses, that's different. But I'm not so sure I feel comfortable that they'll do it.
Well, I look at the Liberal candidate, and of course, where he's already shown that his financial abilities are excellent. I'm looking at him, and I have to admit, I'm not particularly keen on Poilievre. That's just where it comes down to. I don't like his conditions. I don't like his buddying up to the Great Orange Wonder down south.
But obviously, you look at the polls, they swing pretty dramatically. But so did they in the U.S. with Harris and Trump. So I think it's a dead cat bounce. I think once the debate starts and people really understand what he's all about, I think the Conservatives will win.
Of course, the Conservative leader is going to preempt the Prime Minister's move here to Rideau Hall today. Adrian, he's about 5 minutes away before he comes out and launches his campaign and speaks to Canadians. Give us a sense of what we can expect from you in the National, how you're going to cover the campaign and try and tap into some of those things that people are telling you.
One of the things we're going to do, Rosie, is we're going to spend a lot of time in Canada with Canadians, as we always do, because, the focus of politics is Ottawa, but an election is for.
You guys are watching. This is CBC. And of course, CPAC just went live. So when that happens, when they do, we will switch over. It says that we're just waiting. Yes, you guys are watching CBC. Sorry that the camera is screwed up, but yes, you're watching CBC. CPAC did go live. I will be switching to them. Anyways, yes, so you are, watching right now. They're talking about this. We will be bringing to you everything today when the leaders go coast to coast. So like I say, just be very patient and let's just listen in and learn some Canadian politics stuff there, folks. Make sure to hit the like button. Thank you very much there, James. And yes, so like I say, as you can see, we're just waiting because Mark Carney is going to go in there. And once once the CPAC goes live, which is also, then we will have that. But for right now, we're going to go back to CBC and I will unmute it. And that's those of you that are. But thank you very much. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and we're going to go back.
That's great. And we'll look forward to all of that coverage through the next 5 weeks. That's the important part, what Canadians are saying and what they want. Thanks so much, Adrian. Appreciate it.
You bet.
CBC News chief correspondent Adrienne Arsenault. She is in St. John, New Brunswick, and she will be hosting the National there for a few days. And then, as you heard, really taking off right across the country to talk to all of you. So reach out to her and keep an eye on the program as well. We are here waiting for a couple of things. First of all, there on the right of your screen, Pierre Poilievre is going to launch his campaign with a press conference in just moments. The Conservative leader making a bid to become Prime Minister, a job that he has really wanted for a long time, but the context has changed, right? The context for him has changed. Context for the country has changed. We're also standing by for Mark Carney to arrive here where we are at Rideau Hall to meet with the Governor General, formally ask her to dissolve Parliament, and formally launch this campaign with the voting day on April 28th. David Cochrane, the host of Power and Politics, is here with me now. What do you want to talk about?
Well, what's going to be interesting to watch with the leaders, and we got a sense of this from Ashley and from Kate, is where they go in the opening days of this campaign. Because what you're saying is as important as where you're saying it, right? And the symbolism of the moves. And so let's start with the Conservatives, because we're going to hear from Mr. Poilievre soon. We know he's going to spend his opening move in the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area. And it's not an exaggeration, Rosie, to say there is no Conservative victory without a victory in Ontario. Their power base is in Western Canada. Things looked very promising for them in Atlantic Canada until very recently, when things have shifted back, is that is becoming more and more, looking more and more like it could very well be a majority Liberal seats out of the 32 in that region. But he's got to break into Ontario in a significant way if he's going to form a majority government, because the other challenge for the Conservatives is who is their natural coalition partner, to use a very loaded word, should it be a minority government with Prime Minister Poilievre at the helm. Right. He has, criticized any kind of cooperation when it was the Liberals and the NDP. He has not made friends with the New Democrats or the Bloc Québécois, and it's very difficult to see the Liberals cooperating with him in any sort of a minority parliament. So he needs to break through in Ontario in a massive way. The Ontario Progressive Conservatives are not going to be a big help in that quest for Pierre Poilievre. Doug Ford is staying out of this. He sort of urged his MPPs, to also stay out of it. And relations have not been great between the federal Conservatives and the Ontario Progressive Conservatives for quite some time. In fact, when they spoke last Monday, Pierre Poilievre and Doug Ford, it was the first time the two men had ever had a phone call.
Ever spoken at all. I know.
Which
that
is
very
remarkable.
surprising to me.
Yeah, the national conservative leader and the most powerful conservative leader, right?
He's been a politician for his entire life. Yeah.
And a guy who, along with his late brother, Rob Ford, was campaigning with Stephen Harper in the 2015 campaign in the stretch run of that election, saying he wants to stay out of it. Now, he has done that since he's been premier, but it's an interesting point. And on the other side of it, Mark Carney is going to leave here to go to my hometown and my favorite city of St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. And this is an interesting move for the Liberals, because there are only 7 seats in Newfoundland and Labrador. The Liberals hold 6 of them, but 5 of the 6 incumbents are not running again.
Yes.
So there's a lot of volatility there, and there's a lot of things that need to be shored up. And also, this is a reflection of just how much things have changed. And I'll just take the riding of Cape Spear, which is the old St. John's South Mount Pearl. That's the riding where I grew up and spent most of my life. Seamus O'Regan announced last summer he wasn't going to be running again. There was nobody running in that seat. And then all of a sudden this week, there was a nomination with 3-4 candidates, good candidates, and Tom Osborne, a former provincial finance minister, won the nomination. Really good organizer. His mom and his uncle have also been members of the provincial
All right, we're going to share. We're going to now go where, hang on here. Nope, window. There we are. Now we're going to do this. And now we're going to wait for Pierre Poilievre to come on the scene. He is going to now announce that he wants the Prime Minister job as you see Canada first. Ahead of that, I'm going to keep an eye on this as we wait for Mark Carney, but they are going to, and here they are. This is Pierre Poilievre, his wife, and the kids as they're getting ready to board a plane. Here we go. There we go. No sound? Oh, hang on here. Okay, well then we're gonna then go back here.
Liberals who doubled the cost of housing,
Okay.
doubled lineups in front of food banks.
Is there sound now?
Doubled the national
Mouse?
debt, released criminals, broke our immigration system, blocked our resources from being developed, and weakened our economy in relation to Donald Trump? Or can we put Canada first and bring about change with a new conservative government that will cut taxes, unleash our natural resources, build housing, secure our borders, and bring back jobs to Canada with a strong economy so that we can stand up to Donald Trump and be in a position of strength? But before I describe all of that, I think it's important to recognize that many people are worried and angry because of the unjustified threats and unjustifiable threats made by President Trump. I share that anger and that concern. I'm worried about people who run the risk of losing their jobs. So what can we do? We have to convert our anger and our anxiety into action. We have to become strong, self-reliant, and sovereign to stand up to the Americans. We will face that threat with courage and determination. And rest assured that we will never be part of the United States. We will defend our sovereignty and our freedom. Freedom as Canadians. I will protect this country and I will put Canada first. But before I tell you how I intend to do that, let me tell you why. This country gave me everything, everything that I have, everything that I have in Canada, and nowhere else would I have been able to do what I have done. I was born to a single parent mother and who gave me up for adoption to 2 teachers. They taught me many, many things, but particularly the idea that Canada, whatever my background, I could realize my dreams. And that was the promise made to all Canadians. And I want that promise to be restored for all Canadians. The promise that someone who works hard can have a great home on a safe street, protected by brave soldiers under our proud flag. That is the promise of Canada that I wish to restore. Because after a decade, a lost decade under the Liberals, the promise of Canada is broken. Higher taxes under the Liberals have driven up the price of food by 37% faster than in the United States. Some single mothers go to bed with an empty stomach. And they're worried about what their children will have to eat the next day. seniors have to choose between food and heating their home. The price of housing has doubled because the Liberals drove up the demand for property through immigration and printing money totally out of control, while at the same time blocking construction of housing with red tape. They drove up the cost of housing with more bureaucracy, and now an entire generation of Canadians cannot access a home. And they weakened our borders, and the Liberal drug policies meant to more violence and more people dying. Higher taxes and blocking resource projects meant that Canada has had the worst economic growth in the G7 and drove $500 billion of money to the United States, weakening us in relation to Donald Trump. And all of that before the tariffs hit. And through their radical post-globalist ideology under the Liberals, we have become a divided country. And that has weakened our unity. Desperate now to receive a fourth term, the Liberals have replaced Justin Trudeau by his economic advisor, Mark Carney. But a Liberal is still a Liberal. They're all the same MPs, the same Liberal ministers, the same Liberal advisors, the same Liberal elites, and the same promises that weren't kept in 10 years under the Liberals. We cannot allow ourselves another lost Liberal decade. We must put Canada first and bring about a change. We're going to do that with a new Conservative government that will cut taxes, make sure that work pays, free up our entrepreneurs, develop our natural resources, build housing, bring back jobs to Canada, secure our border, honor our history, raise our flag, and stand up to Donald Trump's threats. And that starts with lower taxes on work, on housing, on energy, and on investments. Cutting taxes for change. That will bring back jobs to Canada and encourage workers. We will give municipalities incentives to accelerate permitting for construction and free up land to allow us to build more housing. And again, we will eliminate the GST on homes so that young people can access housing. This will allow Canadians to be able to dream of owning a home again. We will also bring back jobs to the natural resources sector for a change. We will repeal the anti-pipeline Liberal legislation C-69 and the cap on energy imposed by the Liberals, and Mr. Carney continues to support. We will eliminate the industrial carbon tax and greenlight LNG and pipeline projects, whether it's mines or port facilities. We will create new zones in Canada that will allow for pre-permitting of major projects in specific areas. And we will be able to say yes quickly and allow businesses to start building rather than filling out forms. Industry will be acting to protect Canadians. The new pipeline that the Liberals blocked a few years ago can be developed and will allow Canadians to get around the American market and sell our energy to Europe. And that would break our dependence and Europe's dependence on Russia and Canadians' dependence on Donald Trump. A dual victory with a single project that the Liberals blocked. This would put an end to our dependency and the weakness we now see. We will bring down trade barriers between the provinces to ensure there can be free trade across the country. ensuring that our projects, our products and services can circulate freely. We will bring back jobs and unite this country. We will also restore the promise of Canada by having safe communities. We will put criminals in jail, secure our borders, and provide for treatment to addicts so that Canadians can be free of drug addiction. We will deal with immigration and remove the radical initiatives brought in by the Liberals, which is intended to bring Canada's population to 100 million. 100 million. That would double the population of major cities in Canada in the middle of a crisis, a housing crisis. And I'm against the Century Initiative, and we will limit immigration, remove abuse and fraud within the system to go back to a system that allows us to build more housing, have proper services available for our own population. We will expel criminals and prevent fraudsters from entering this country. When it comes to immigration, as in every other area, we will put Canada first for a change. We will rebuild our army for a change. We will do that with 4 new icebreakers, in fact, and we will add troops and build a new base in the far north and support our veterans. Our troops and our veterans are a source of inspiration. They embody the best of Canada. They remind us as well that we are a strong people capable of defending its sovereignty. We don't want to fight, but we're always prepared to fight if someone threatens us. And none of that will be easy. But the defense of Canada and the creation of this country were not easy either. With change, there can be hope. Hope will return. So I say that for a mother out there who's worried about the cost of feeding her children, hope will soon return. For young people who are 35 who want to leave their parents' basement to buy a house and start a family, change is coming. For seniors who have to choose between heating their home and buying food, change is coming. And for those who have come to Canada and are wondering what has happened after 10 years, I can say that change is coming. A new Conservative government will restore the promise of Canada, the promise that anyone from anywhere can realize his dreams. You work hard and you can have a great home in a secure neighborhood, protected by solid borders and brave soldiers under our proud flag. To preserve that flag and its promise, we must work together, we must fight together, and we must win together for our people, for our land, for our home, for Canada first, for a change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone, for being here today. Our little munchkins, I think that my little girl got bored and left me, so I'm going to have to give the speech again when we get home. And there's Cruz. He's, as you can see, he's a fighter pilot, and we have our pet penguin with us today too. We're happy to be here to launch our campaign to restore Canada's promise, and to do it on this very beautiful day. Today, the Liberals are asking for a 4th term in power, after swapping Justin Trudeau for his economic advisor and hand-picked successor, Mark Carney. But after the lost Liberal decade, the question is whether Canadians can afford a 4th Liberal term. After these out-of-touch Liberals inflated housing costs, drove up the cost of food, pushed 2 million people to food banks, unleashed crime on our streets, ruined our immigration system, blocked our resources, sent $500 billion to the United States, and made our economy more reliant on the Americans than ever before? Or is it time to put Canada first for a change with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, honor hard work, build homes, cut taxes, lock up criminals, secure our borders, unleash resources to bring home our jobs, and stand up to Donald Trump from a position of strength? Now, on that subject, I know a lot of people are worried, angry, and anxious, and with good reason, as a result of the president's unacceptable threats against our country. You worry about your job and the sovereignty of our nation. And you're angry at the feeling of betrayal that these unacceptable words and tariffs have made us all experience. I share your anger and I share the worry for our future. But I also draw great resolve in knowing that we can transform the anxiety and anger into action. First of all, let me be clear. We will never be an American state. We will always be a sovereign and self-reliant country. The action we must take is to become that nation that's strong, self-reliant, and sovereign, capable of standing on its own 2 feet and standing up to the Americans. We will stare down this unprovoked threat with steely resolve because, be assured, Canadians are tough, we are hardy, and we stand up for ourselves. I will protect Canada, and I will always put our country first. But before I tell you how, let me tell you why. This country's given me everything I have. I know my story wouldn't have been possible in any other country in the world. I was born to a 16-year-old single mother who put me up for adoption to 2 school teachers. But they taught me that in Canada, despite humble beginnings,
Can you
I could
move it
achieve
over
anything
just
I
to my
wanted.
side?
I got into politics to protect and preserve that promise. And that promise means that if you work hard, you get a house, a nice house, on a safe street, protected by brave troops.
Just wanted to
under
let you
a
know as we
proud
listen to
flag.
Pierre Poilievre that Mark Carney is now inside Rita Hall
promise
asking the
is
Governor
broken.
General to dissolve Parliament and officially
decade
launch this election campaign. He will come out shortly to speak to Canadians. Let's go back now and listen to the Conservative leader of Canada.
Housing costs have more than doubled. Single moms go to bed hungry, worried how they will feed their children in the morning. Liberals have driven up our housing costs by inflating demand with out-of-control money printing and immigration, while at the same time blocking supply with massive bureaucracies that don't let builders build. So for the first time in the history of Canada, our young people cannot afford homes. Open borders, liberal crime and drug laws have unleashed violence, disorder, and deadly overdoses. 10 years of Liberals hiking taxes and blocking resource projects has pushed $500 billion to the United States, given us the worst growth in the entire G7. And all of this was before the tariffs of Donald Trump. What's more, our nation is more divided than ever before because the liberal, radical, post-national, borderless, and globalist ideology has weakened our nation. Now, desperate for a 4th term, Liberals have replaced Justin Trudeau with his economic advisor and hand-picked successor, Mark Carney. But a Liberal is a Liberal is a Liberal. It's the same old Liberal MPs, the same Liberal ministers, the same Liberal advisors, the same Liberal elites, the same broken Liberal promises of the last 10 years. We cannot afford another lost Liberal decade. We need to put Canada first for a change, with a new Conservative government to axe taxes, reward work, unleash entrepreneurs, harvest our resources, make things here, build homes for our youth, secure our borders, rebuild our military, honor our history, and raise our flag. It starts with a big bring it home tax cut on work, investment, energy, and home building. We'll lower taxes to bring home businesses and to make sure Canadians bring home more of their paychecks. And that starts with axing the carbon tax, the entire tax, a tax that the Liberals, with Carney's enthusiastic support, brought in for 7 years and increased over and over, a tax that is still in law. despite the government hiding it from gas stations for the 30 days leading up to the election. A tax they will bring back bigger than ever before if reelected. And on this point, Mr. Carney and Mr. Trump are in total agreement. They both want to tax Canadian industry. Mr. Carney's carbon tax and Donald Trump's tariffs will destroy Canadian industry, pushing jobs south. But I won't let that happen. A new Conservative government will repeal the carbon tax law, and we will axe the tax for everyone, for everything, for good, forever, and for real. We will also take the sales tax off new homes and incentivize municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, and cut development charges so that we can build homes and restore the dream of home ownership. We will bring home our resource jobs for a change. That means repealing Liberal No New Pipelines Law C-69, lifting the Liberal cap on energy that Carney still supports, quickly approving LNG plants, mines, and other major projects. New Canada First building zones will pre-approve sites for construction so that businesses can get busy working and hiring and building and developing and spend no more time filling out paperwork. With a national pipeline like the one the Liberals blocked not long ago, we can go around the American market, send our oil to Europe, break European dependence on Putin, and break our dependence on the United States of America. A double win, two birds, one stone. We'll knock down interprovincial trade barriers to have one big, open, free market across our country, moving goods, services, people, nationwide. That will bring home our jobs and bring us together. We'll also bring home safety to our communities by stopping the crime for a change. That means repealing catch and release Liberal laws and imposing mandatory jail time on repeat offenders, banning hard drugs, and offering recovery to bring our loved ones home drug-free. We'll cap immigration and stop the radical Century Initiative, which seeks to almost triple our population to 100 million people. A crazy idea still endorsed by Liberals and their top advisors. That will end when I am Prime Minister. We will also keep fraudsters, and criminals out of our country, and we will crack down on bogus claims. On immigration, like everything else, we will put Canada first for a change. Our troops will have support. Our military will be rebuilt. We will have new icebreakers, new fighter jets, new surveillance aircraft, a brand new base, the first base in the Arctic since the Cold War in Iqaluit. And we will back our veterans to ensure they have good lives after they fought for our country. They remind us that Canada is tough, rugged, strong, hardy. We don't go looking for a fight, but we're ready if one comes looking for us. None of this will be easy, but making and defending Canada wasn't easy either. And with change, there's hope. So I say, to the struggling single mother who worries how she will feed her kids, hope is on the way. To the 35-year-old still living in mom's basement but dreaming of owning his own place and starting a family, change is on the way. To the seniors choosing between eating and heating. And to all those who wonder what happened to the country that they knew and love, change and hope are both on the way. A new Conservative government will restore Canada's promise, the promise that anyone from anywhere can do anything, that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful home, on a safe street under a proud flag. To preserve that flag and uphold its promise, we must work together, fight together, and win together for our people, for our land, for our home, for Canada first, for a change. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now take questions. On va maintenant passer aux questions.
Good morning, Mr. Poilievre.
Good morning.
JP Tasker from CBC News.
Thank you.
Do you respect Donald Trump?
I respect the office of the President of the United States, and we have to show respect to other world leaders. The bottom line is the Americans buy 75% of our goods. So whoever's the Prime Minister is going to have to, at some point, deal with President Trump. He was only elected a short time ago. He's going to be around for 4 more years. You can be respectful and firm. And I believe we have to be both. I will insist the president recognize the independence and sovereignty of Canada. I will insist that he stop tariffing our nation. And at the same time, I will strengthen our country so that we can be capable of standing our own 2 feet and standing up to the Americans where and when necessary. That's what it means when I say, let's put Canada first for a change.
En français.
Il faut travailler en esprit de respect.
We
avec
have to work in a spirit
n'importe
of
quel
respect
président
with
des
any
États-Unis.
president of the United States.
Évidemment, les Américains
Of course,
achètent
the Americans buy
75%
approximately
de nos produits.
75% of our
Nous sommes
goods.
leurs voisins.
We are their neighbor.
Je ne respecte pas le traitement qu'il
I
a donné
don't
à notre
respect
pays.
the treatment he has meted out to our country.
Je réitère qu'on peut
And
être
I
à la fois
reiterate that we
respectueux,
can be
mais ferme
both respectful
et
and
fort.
firm and
Et
strong.
je serai les trois.
And I will be all
Je vais
three.
défendre notre
I will
souveraineté.
defend our
Je
sovereignty.
vais nous assurer que nous sommes
I will
capables
ensure
d'être
that
plus
we are
autosuffisants et
capable of
moins
being more
dépendants des
self-reliant
États-Unis.
and less dependent
La
on the
meilleure
United States.
façon
And the best way
contrer Donald Trump,
to
c'est de
counter
pouvoir
Donald Trump
supporter notre propre
is
pays
to
avec une
support our
économie
own
plus forte
country with a
et plus
stronger
indépendante.
economy and become
C'est
more
ça, mettre le
independent.
Canada d'abord
That is what
pour faire
Canada,
changement.
putting Canada first,
Merci.
is
Prochaine
all
question.
about.
Next question.
Mr. Poilievre, hello, Stephanie Levitz,
Hi,
Globe and
Stephanie.
Mail.
Good morning.
Good morning, almost afternoon. Premier Daniel Smith, Alberta Premier Daniel Smith, has asked the U.S. administration to hold off any further action because it benefits the Liberals politically right now, and says that your direction would be more in sync with the U.S. administration's direction. Do you think her comments are appropriate, and what is your response to them?
Well, my response is that the president has said that he thinks it would be easier to deal with a Liberal, and with good reason. The Liberals have weakened our country. They've blocked resource projects, raised taxes, driving our jobs south into the hands of the Americans. $500 billion of investment has fled our country. They blocked a pipeline that would have allowed us to go around the American market. They've killed LNG liquefaction plants, forcing us to sell all of our natural gas to the Americans at huge price discounts. They've weakened our military and our borders. All of that plays into the hands of President Trump. He's been very blunt that he wants a weak Canada that he can target. And Liberals, after the lost Liberal decade, have made our economy and our country weaker and more divided, just like Trump wanted. Electing Liberals to a fourth term will weaken our country still. That is why we need to put Canada first for a change, with a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, unleash our resource production, build pipelines, secure our border, rebuild our armed forces, and stand up to Donald Trump from a position of strength. Thank you.
En français.
Évidemment, Mr. Trump préfère des
Of
libéraux
course, Mr.
parce
Trump
que
prefers
les
the
libéraux
Liberals
ont affaibli
because the Liberals
notre pays.
have weakened this country.
Ils ont bloqué nos ressources
They
naturelles,
blocked our natural
taxé
resources.
notre industrie,
They
expulsé
broke our
500 milliards de
industries.
dollars
They drove
d'investissement vers les
$500 billion
des
of
États-Unis,
investments to the United States.
brisé notre système
They
d'immigration
broke
et
our
nos
immigration
frontières.
system and our
Un Canada
borders.
faible
A weak
favorise Donald
Canada
Trump et après
works
la décennie
for
perdue
President
des
Trump, and
libéraux,
after the lost
notre
Liberal
économie
decade,
est plus faible.
our economy is
Donner
weaker.
un quatrième
Giving
mandat
a
aux
fourth
libéraux
term
va
to the
affaiblir
Liberals
le Canada
will
encore et
weaken Canada
favoriser
further
les intérêts
and
agressifs
further
de
the
Donald Trump contre notre
interests
pays.
of
C'est pour
President
ça
Trump against this
qu'il
country.
faut mettre le Canada
We
d'abord
must put
pour faire
Canada
changement.
first for a change,
Avec un nouveau gouvernement
with a
conservateur
new conservative
qui va
government
exploiter nos ressources
that will
naturelles,
develop our
couper les
natural
taxes,
resources,
ramener
cut
nos
taxes,
emplois et nos
bring back
industries ici au
jobs and
Canada
industries to Canada,
et confronter le président
and
Trump
confront
dans
President
une
Trump
position de force.
from a position of
Merci.
strength.
Prochaine question. Next question.
Yes, sir.
Monsieur Poilievre, Boris Prou, du
Merci.
Devoir, bienvenue à
Le
Gatineau.
devoir.
Donald Trump fait
Donald
peur aux
Trump
Canadiens.
is
Si on met de côté la question des
scaring
tarifs et son
Canadians
traitement, envers notre
with
pays,
his
juste les politiques
tariffs,
que M.
but
Trump met de
simply
l'avant dans son
Trump's
pays, ça fait
policies
peur aux
being
Canadiens.
introduced in the US
Qu'est-ce que
are
vous dites aux
scaring
Canadiens qui nous
Canadians. So
écoutent,
what do you
qui
say to
voient vos
Canadians who
discours
are
sur les
listening
fonctionnaires,
today
sur les
and
médias,
who hear
sur
what you're
l'aide
saying about the
internationale, sur les
media,
personnes transgenres
international
et d'autres
aid,
exemples, et qui
transgender
sont
persons, and
inquiets
so
des
forth, and who
similarités,
are
des similitudes
concerned
entre votre
about the
discours et
similarities
l'administration
between
Trump?
what you're saying and what the Trump
Je
administration is
suis
saying?
Canadien.
Well,
Je veux
I'm
mettre notre
Canadian.
pays d'abord
I will put our country
pour
first
faire changement. C'est ça
for a
notre but.
change. That is our
Quand
goal.
je dis que je veux
When I
couper les
say that I
taxes
want to cut
et
taxes
les impôts pour ramener nos
to
emplois
bring back
ici
jobs to Canada
et favoriser nos travailleurs,
and help our
c'est pour
workers,
les Canadiens, c'est pas
it
pour
is for
les
Canadians that
Américains
I
que je
say
dis
that,
ça.
not for Americans.
C'est quand je veux exploiter nos
And when I
ressources
say that I
naturelles,
want to
bâtir des
develop our
pipelines,
natural
c'est
resources
à
and
la
build
désavantage
pipelines,
de Donald Trump
that
qu'on
is
fasse
to
ça,
the
et c'est à
disadvantage of
notre
President Trump,
avantage
and it's to our advantage
de
that we do that.
rendre le Canada plus souverain
Making
plus fort
Canada stronger and more
face aux
sovereign
Américains. Ça,
in
c'est
the
dans
face
notre
of the United
intérêt
States
national
is in
et
our
c'est ce que je
national
vais faire
interest, and
comme
that's what
Premier
I
ministre du
intend to
Canada.
do as Prime Minister of Canada.
Thank you very much. Well, what we need to do is put Canada first for a change. You know, when I say that I'm going to cut taxes and unleash our resource production, bring home our jobs, that's bad news for President Trump because it means we're going to be bringing back not only the investment the Liberals have driven south, but also becoming more self-reliant and sovereign to stand on our own feet and stand up to President Trump. That is how we put our country first, and it's how we bring real change to Canadians.
Thank you. Next question. Prochaine question.
Bonjour, Monsieur Poilievre, Christian Noël de Radio-Canada.
Radio-Canada.
Les gens dans la
Bonjour.
rue nous disent,
Bon matin.
vous aussi,
Good morning.
les gens dans la rue nous disent qu'ils
People
cherchent
on
un
the
Capitaine
streets
Canada
are
pour se
saying
protéger
that
de
they're
Donald
looking
Trump
for a
Oui.
Captain
et
Canada
un
to protect
antidote
them
à Donald Trump.
and an
Comme
antidote to
l'expliquait
Donald
mon
Trump.
collègue Boris,
As my
certaines
colleague Boris
politiques
just said,
dont vous faites la promotion
some of
ressemblent
the
à ce que
policies
Donald
you're
Trump
promoting
propose.
are
Et
similar
les
to
gens dans la
those
rue
put
s'inquiètent
forward
de
by
ça.
President Trump, and people
Comment
in the
pouvez-vous vous
street are worried
distinguer de
about that.
Donald Trump
How can you
à ce
differentiate yourself
moment-ci
from
pour
Donald
rassurer
Trump
les
at this
Canadiens? J'ai
time
pas
in order
entendu
to
la façon
reassure
dont vos
Canadians?
politiques
I haven't
sont
seen
différentes de
how
Donald
your
Trump.
policies are
Comment vous
different
êtes capable
from
de
those
rassurer les
of
Canadiens
Mr.
que vous
Trump,
n'êtes pas
and
lui?
how can
À
you
part de dire que vous êtes
reassure
Canadien.
people that's the case if you
Oui.
are
Tout
reelected?
d'abord, j'ai dit
Well, first of
que
all,
je veux le contraire que Donald Trump. Il
I've
veut,
said I
par
want the
exemple,
opposite of Donald
imposer
Trump.
des tarifs
He wants
sur nos
to
entreprises,
impose
des taxes sur
tariffs
les
on
entreprises
our
canadiennes.
industries and on
C'est les
our
libéraux qui
companies.
veulent faire pareil. Les
It's
libéraux
the
veulent
liberals that want
taxer
to do
nos
that. They want to
entreprises
tax our
en même
businesses
temps que Donald Trump fait la même chose.
as Donald Trump
Donald
does the
Trump veut
same.
prendre nos
Donald
ressources
Trump
au
wants
prix bas.
to take our
Et c'est les
resources
libéraux
away from
qui
us at the
l'ont
lowest
permis,
price. And
qui
it's
lui
the
ont
liberals
permis de le faire en
that have
bloquant les
allowed him to
pipelines,
do that by blocking the
les
construction of
usines de gaz
pipelines
naturel,
and
les
natural gas
expansions
plants
portuaires.
and
C'est les
expansion of our
libéraux qui
port
ont
facilities.
favorisé
The
les
liberals
intérêts de Donald Trump
have
en affaiblissant notre
worked
pays.
in the favor of
Moi,
Donald
je
Trump
veux
rather than
le
Canada.
contraire. Je
And
veux
I want the
ramener le
reverse.
demi-billion
I want
dollars que les
to
libéraux
bring
ont
back the
expulsé
$500
vers
billion
les
that
États-Unis.
the liberals drove
Parce
to the
que
United States.
quand je parle aux gens
Because when
sur
I
la rue,
talk to
vous avez
people
parlé des
in the
gens sur la
street,
rue,
you talked about people in the
ils
street.
ont peur, savez-vous
Well,
ce qu'ils
you
disent?
know what they're saying?
Ils ont peur de perdre leurs emplois
They're
parce
afraid
que
of
notre
losing their
économie est
jobs
faible
because
après
our
10 ans
economy
des
is weak
libéraux.
after 10 years of the
Ils ont
liberals.
peur de ne pas
They're
pouvoir payer
afraid
leurs
of not being
épiceries
able to
ou
pay for
acheter un logement.
groceries or buy a house or
Moi, je
a
suis le
place to
seul
live. And
qui
I'm
leur
the
offre
only person
un vrai changement
offering
pour
true
ramener la
change
promesse du
to
Canada,
bring back the
pour
promise of
ramener nos
Canada,
emplois
to bring
ici
back jobs to
et pour
Canada,
permettre à nos
and
gens d'avoir
allow
une belle
people to
future
have a great
comme
future
nos parents et nos grands-parents
like our
ont eu.
parents and
Merci.
grandparents had.
Well, you ask about the concerns of people on the street. What I hear from people on the street is they are concerned that after the lost liberal decade, they can't afford homes. They're eating at food banks or cutting back on nutrition. They're worried about crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder. And they're worried that Canada and our economy is now more dependent than ever on the Americans after the Liberals blocked pipelines, stopped resource development, and gave America our resources at a discount. And what I say to those people, is that change is on the way. We're going to put Canada first. We're going to axe taxes, unleash home building, produce our resources here in Canada and export them overseas by going around the Americans so that we can take back control of our economy and our national destiny. That's what it means to put Canada first for a change.
Merci. On va passer à la dernière question. Last question.
Merci.
Hello, Mr. Poilievre. Mark Ramsey with the Toronto Star. Your party was the target of foreign interference in the last two election campaigns, but you're going into this one without the security clearance necessary to receive briefings on this. When should Canadians expect you to get that security clearance?
Well, I've already had clearance. I was a minister in cabinet already, and the government has the ability to give me any information they think necessary. But what I'm not going to do is go into a process, a politically directed process by the Liberals that they use to decide what I can see and say and comment on. We know that the Liberals have made Canada a playground to foreign interference. They're the ones that have benefited from foreign interference. We also call on the government to have the foreign agent registry set up for this election so that Canadians know if any foreign or hostile regimes are intervening in our democracy so that we can expose that and protect ourselves.
En français, s'il vous plaît.
Merci beaucoup. J'ai
Thank you very much.
eu cette permission.
I
déjà été au
already
cabinet.
got that
Donc,
clearance because I was in cabinet, so
En
that is
termes
not an issue at all.
des avertissements,
When it comes
les
to
agences sécuritaires ont les
receiving
pouvoirs déjà de
information,
m'informer si moi
security
ou
and
quelqu'un
intelligence
autour de moi
officials
est
already
menacé.
have the ability to
Donc,
talk to
ils
me
peuvent
about
le faire,
potential threats,
mais je vais
so they
pas
can do
me
that.
faire taire
But I
en
am
donnant le
not
contrôle
going
au
to
gouvernement, ce que je peux dire et ce que je peux
agree
voir,
to be unable to
surtout,
speak
après
through
avoir
this
vu la
kind of process,
politisation que les
particularly
libéraux ont
after
fait
seeing the
avec cette marche.
politicization of this issue by
Merci
the
beaucoup.
Liberals.
À la prochaine.
Okay, that is Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre on day one of this election campaign, taking questions from reporters. There with his wife and son, Cruz, and his wife, Anna Poilievre, talking about how he wants to see an end to this lost Liberal decade, he said, that has made the country weaker, just as Donald Trump wanted.
Yes, so we are seeing that is Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative. Yes, he is getting ready to board a plane, and he is heading to another destination. They didn't say. I don't have the travel plans there. As we are waiting for Mark Carney, I had muted. We will listen while they are all just talking in the background there. You can listen. But Liberal leader, interim Prime Minister Mark Carney is going to like he's the interim prime minister of Canada there, but he is elected leader, and he is going to be in the Ottawa Nepean area there. That's the riding that he will be in, and they're going to be going back and forth. So that screws up my thing there. So yes, we have a campaign. It is started. It is now boots on the ground. It is dig-in time there, door knocking. Those lovely phone calls that you get, those automated ones there that leave a message that, can you count on such and such there. But April 28th, Monday, April 28th, we go to the polls. We will vote. We will have a government. Somebody will form a minority or majority or, who knows. We have no idea, but yes, and we are waiting also because I will be bringing Carney, the Liberal leader, and where he is dissolved. Then Jagmeet Singh, then either Elizabeth May or the co-partner. So all today, and they're all getting ready. Now it is the race to the finish line on who can get the most candidates elected in the party. This is going to be a very interesting one there. This is not going to be an easy task, as they're going to crisscross coast to coast to coast, and buses, you name it. So it all begins right now, and we're just waiting for interim Prime Minister Mark Carney to come to say that it has been dropped, and then Mary Simon, of course, was probably got some people over there locking Parliament right now, so that way nobody can go in during the election. The door will be locked until April. Until April 28th or shortly after that. Don't know why I couldn't get CPAC to work, because I do like CPAC because they just have strictly in English and for the French there. So yes, but I am waiting. Once Carney does, well, I could do this too. We'll just do this. How about this? This is good. I like this one. I'm liking this view. I noticed that StreamYard did add some stuff there, so that's good. Okay, yes, so like I say, we will wait as we are waiting for them. Everyone is probably getting their bus drivers and that in place. This is going to be very interesting. It's a 36-day campaign. April 28th, Canadians will go to the polls. We will decide, do we want a Liberal government? Do we want a Conservative government? Do we want an NDP government? A Green Party, People's Party of Canada. Don't forget Maxime Bernier's party. And of course, Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative leader, making the case that he should be the one to form a new Conservative government there. There's a lot of fill in the gaps on all sides, whether it's Green, NDP, Liberal, Conservative, where the candidates have not been chosen, but they will be chosen probably later on today. I know in my riding, we're still waiting for a few. The Liberals are scrambling. I know that they say that they're ready, but they're scrambling to get their team in place here in BC, because BC is going to be a battleground. Ontario, BC. And of course, in Edmonton, it is slipping away to that. I was just looking, Edmonton, 3 Edmonton ones there, gone from Conservative to just Liberal. Just when I checked last night there. And it's a strong, because they usually have a light. You can usually tell a light, or it's a bold. If it's bold, it means it's likely. But then there is a safe when it's safe. There's a lot of unknown answers. There's a lot of unknowns of where the electoral offices will be. And now, yeah, right now at this time, it's coffee hour. People are probably headed to church, or they're watching the news, or they're listening. But yes, Canada is headed to the polls there, and of course, I know that Donald Trump is already started tweeting, and he wants Mark Carney, because, like I say, he can have Canada and make Canada the 51st state. And we cannot let that happen there. NDP, we're going to wait to hear from a Jagmeet Singh. That should happen after Mark Carney, right afterwards there. Then I'm told the Green Party, as I'm waiting, the Green Party, I'm wanting to know why I cannot get the sound. Anyways, okay, let's hang on here. Let's just see why. Oh, I don't want the French one. Hang on here. Okay, so no, I don't want the. I'm trying to get CPAC to work. Let's see. I'm gonna switch to this tab.
Mr. Poilievre has not yet found his footing to know how to counteract.
So there we are. Okay, not sure if you could hear the sound there. James, do you think you could let me know there? Are you still
in
here?
Quebec, the Conservatives always try to win over Quebec voters, as we've often said, and we were talking about this earlier. The federal elections are won in Ontario, but in Quebec,
Do you
we
hear
decide if
the
it's a
sound?
majority or a minority government. So the Conservatives always try to woo.
All right, well, I'm going to mute that there. As we are waiting for Mark Carney to speak there, everybody is. I've also got the Yes, and of course, right now that's so I've now switched over to CPAC. There, I like CPAC because they're good. This is the Canadian one. Hang on here. Okay, no, I don't want that one there. I don't like that. So yes, I'm just waiting. Yes, okay, so we are just gonna see what happens because this is where all the action is gonna be today, and then after that, then I will dissolve and I will be gone until after the election there. So as we can see, I think soon we should see Mark Carney come out. I'm not sure. Maybe he's loving the tea and he's asked for a refill. Who knows? Or maybe he was listening to Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative leader, and has decided he doesn't want to call the election there. He wants to go back in there and be forced to be taken down there. So anything is possible. This is going to be a very, very, very interesting. I have switched, by the way. I've just muted it, so you're just seeing it. There is no audio, but there is audio. So, like when interim Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, comes out and comes from Rideau Hall, and as you can see, I am wearing Canada because, well, it's a Canadian election that is happening there, April 28th. That's Monday, April 28th. Canadians go to the polls. They get to choose, and the one there, as well as in behind me on this right-hand side, there is Ottawa Parliament. It's very fitting as we are. That's where everyone is starting out, and they are going to be crisscrossing the country. This is going to be a very interesting campaign. We are going to get to see some interesting stuff there, but I don't know why we got the lines. Okay, hang on here. Just see. I wonder if we do this. Maybe we do this. No. What about this one here? I'm just learning this. Hang on here. I don't know. Oh, is this? No. Nope. Okay, this one here. We'll go back here. All right, I'm just going to be in the corner here. Okay, good. So yes, I have muted it. We will go once. Interim Prime Minister, interim leader, Mark Carney, who is the Prime Minister. He's looking for a mandate and everything like that. Then we will there. I don't know why we got those lines there. I think StreamYard. So yes, yes, we're waiting. The writ is now dropped. It's campaign mode. It's election. Curious to see how many people have already gotten those calls there. But we are waiting for. Yeah, I like CPAC. So I think I'm just going to turn it over to CPAC. I'm going to let them listen in, and we'll see you guys soon. Oh, wait a minute here. And there we go.
As Prime Minister, that we see him here for what is the official start of the campaign, where the Prime Minister goes inside and asks the Governor General to dissolve Parliament and have Canadians elect a new House of Commons. Now, of course, we do now have fixed election dates in Canada. That fixed election date is in October, but the Governor General does still have that constitutional power to call an election before that. So that conversation is happening. We are waiting on Mark Carney to come back outside and confirm that the Governor General has said yes to an election, and we'll hear his first remarks as Liberal leader on the campaign trail, his day one message to Canadians. Once again, we're expecting that in about 10 to 15 minutes time at 12:30 Eastern.
Okay, you're right, about 10, 15 minutes time. Let's also talk about the length of this campaign, because not only is this earlier than what was planned, but we're still waiting for that official confirmation that we're looking at what I think right now is being estimated about a 37-day campaign. Talk to us about what we're hearing at this point, Andrew.
Right, and that's, of course, a political calculation that the governing party always makes. How long do you actually want to be out on the campaign trail? Do you want to use the minimum amount of time or the maximum? by law, the campaign period has to be between 37 days and 51 days. The law also says that election day has to be a Monday. So if the Liberals go ahead with the minimum election period, that puts election day at April 28th. That would be, of course, the minimum. That would be the same as what we saw in 2021 when it was Prime Minister Justin Trudeau calling the election.
And there's also been some speculation as to whether Mark Carney would be running in Edmonton, where he actually grew up, or elsewhere. And we now have a bit of a progress on knowing where he's going to run, Andrew.
Yeah, you're right. It won't be in his hometown of Edmonton. It won't be in Toronto. It's actually going to be here in Ottawa in the riding of Nepean. That's a riding in the city's west end. Now, it's interesting, this riding, because it had been held by MP Chandra Arya since 2015. However, he was disqualified from running for the Liberal leadership. And just a few days, he posted online a letter from the Liberal Party telling him that they were revoking his nomination to run again in Nepean, saying that this was after a review of new information. So that opens up a riding here in the National Capital Region for Mark Carney to run. And a couple points of interest about Nepean, Michael. First of all, the boundaries have changed, but Chandra Arya won this riding over 3 elections with anywhere between 45 and 52% support. In 2021, he won the riding by about 7,000 votes. And one other point of interest, we just saw Pierre Poilievre speak. His riding of Carleton is directly next to the riding that Mark Carney is running in Nepean.
So already an interesting race as we get underway. Andrew Thompson, thank you for that. We'll get back to Rita Hall a little later today. And as we say that, or as I say that, I also want to bring back our panel. You know, I think it's worthwhile to actually look at how we got here, because really this has been this remarkable 8-9 months in Canadian politics, because this time last year, the Liberals had a completely different leader. The polls were looking completely different. The Conservatives by the fall were looking to clearly on their way to a supermajority. That has now been challenged by what we've been seeing in recent polls. Let's take a look at how, in fact, we got here, because it did begin, arguably, back in June of last year. And that was the St. Paul's by-election in Toronto. And of course, that is a Liberal stronghold, was held by Dr. Carolyn Bennett. The Liberals lost that, and immediately there was conversation through the summer about Justin Trudeau's leadership. It was already being questioned ahead of that by-election because they lost such a Liberal safe seat. Questions were being asked the Prime Minister. It was followed up mid-September by the loss in La Salle et Verdun, just outside of the city of Montreal. Liberals again losing another stronghold for the party. There was then that caucus revolt in October, Liberal MPs asking Justin Trudeau to step down. And this was already when the Conservatives were leading in the polls by double digits for quite some time. And we heard later that month, Justin Trudeau saying, I will not step down. The fact is he listened to his caucus, but then he said he would listen carefully to his caucus, but it took less than 9 hours to say, you know what, I'm going to stay. And that was the conclusion from Justin Trudeau later in October. Then, of course, arguably the big change, Donald Trump gets elected November the 6th, the U.S. election campaign. The trip to Mar-a-Lago follows that we saw Dominic LeBlanc along with Justin Trudeau speaking to the incoming U.S. president at that moment in time. The first declaration that Donald Trump thought Canada should become the 51st state. And then the huge one, arguably the real shift in this, was Chrystia Freeland resigning as finance minister and doing so publicly with that posting on social media, criticizing essentially backhandedly the Prime Minister's economic judgment and what in terms of being ready for a Donald Trump administration. Then the NDP, key partner for the Liberals by late December, joining the Conservatives in bloc, promising to bring down the government as soon as they could. Fast forward to January 6th, Justin Trudeau announced his intention to resign and puts Parliament into prorogation. And that gets to the point, Julie, you were making earlier on. Had this election call not happened today, yet tomorrow would have been the first day back after prorogation, and we were already expecting the opposition parties to vote down the government. Donald Trump gets inaugurated by late January. By the 1st, Donald Trump signs executive orders imposing 25% tariffs on Canadian imports. And then fast forward March 9th, just a couple of weeks ago, Mark Carney is elected the Liberal leader. Justin Trudeau officially resigns as Prime Minister after that. Mark Carney's sworn in, and then this week, polls indicating because of that change from Trudeau to Carney, the gap has now changed. A remarkable 8-9 months, Catherine.
So much has happened and so quickly. C'est assez incroyable. Alors,
This is astounding. A lot of observers say that it's probably the most spectacular turnaround that we've ever seen in the entire history of Canada, because the Liberals were behind in the polls for months and months and months. They were 20 points behind the Conservatives, and all of a sudden, and we saw this even before Mark Carney was confirmed as leader of the party, the polls started to change. And obviously, this is the Trump effect. Donald Trump is changing everything, not just the face of the country, the economy of Canada, but also perhaps the result of our elections as well. And so it's impossible to avoid this, and this is something that has happened.
We're expecting him to step out in front of Rideau Hall to address members of the media, and we'll bring that as soon as possible. But, as Catherine's talking about this closing of the gap in the polls and this real kind of shift in terms of the debate, because there was affordability. It then became this referendum on Justin Trudeau, and then Donald Trump makes his comments, and it does, as you say, change essentially the political calculus of this. Geneviève is one who studies politics. I can't think of a time where we've had such substantial change in such a short period of time.
On many fronts. So it's not just Donald Trump. Yes, it's Donald Trump, but it's also about the style of leadership. So Justin Trudeau, we're questioning him. It's about the economy, so housing, inflation. It's about putting back the Liberals into the center. That's a big issue. And so Mark Carney was elected because of that, but there were questions already when there was this kind of revolt within the caucus. It was about that. Many MP felt that the Liberals under Justin Trudeau were going too much to the left, and so let's bring back the party a bit more to the center. And what does it mean, the center? And so what is fascinating at this time is that those different issues have all congregate at the same point. I could think of another period where there was a lot of change was in 2015 when Justin Trudeau arrived. He was third in the surveys, but it was only about one issue. It was about let's get rid of the Conservative, let's have a new style of leadership. It was about electoral reform, making democracy works differently, but that was about it. This time is that many factors that all are at the same place. And so you are a party, you are wishing that this will occur in a lifetime, and it rarely does. And this time it arrived, which is surprising.
Although I will also point out, Julie, we've talked about how Liberals have closed the gap. And there have been polls in the last few days that show Liberals are ahead. But whether the Liberals are ahead or the Conservatives are ahead, ultimately we're looking at a margins of error here, that it could be either party. And so we're seeing a lift of the Liberals clearly in Atlantic Canada, clearly in Quebec, but now in Ontario, that's the battleground, because it can go the Conservatives slightly ahead, the Liberals slightly ahead. Either way, they're essentially neck and neck, which will make this a very interesting campaign to cover.
For sure. And a lot of pollsters, to bring to your point about this meteoric rise in the polls, they refer to the fact that it is so astounding that maybe when Trudeau Mania happened in the 60s or the Orange Wave in 2011, those are the only kind of examples you can point to where the polls went up so quickly, so precipitously. But the key thing is they can also go down quickly because that new support for Mark Carney, he could be the shiny object candidate. Like, in other words, people may be parking their vote there thinking he's the person that could best deal with Trump. But if things start happening in the campaign, which is a 5-week campaign, a ton of things could happen. They may abandon their shiny object preference for him and go somewhere else. So the newfound support is not that deep.
Yeah, not that deep. And, it's interesting because it's also a short campaign, to pick up on your point, which I think arguably has, from all the analysis around it, is the fact that would benefit the Liberals. Right now, they've got the momentum. Keep it short, try to keep that momentum alive. I think it's basically the bare minimum +1 is what we're seeing.
2015 was the longest campaign in Canadian history. And I think it was 78 days or some crazy amount, which they must have changed the amount of days. But at that point, it was Stephen Harper trying to make it a long campaign because he thought Justin Trudeau would run out of steam, that his opposition would run out of money, and his gamble didn't work. This is a short campaign.
And it wouldn't be in the Liberals' interest to have a short campaign.
Yeah,
Well, right, yeah, well, right now it is for
Yeah,
sure.
it is.
For sure, because there's a lot of banana peels out there, and you want as few days as possible to trip on them.
Yeah,
right?
and also the fact that of all the leaders here, he has the least political experience. You know,
Exactly.
we've been getting a crash course in Carney, or Carney has been getting this crash course in dealing with the media and answering media questions. But ultimately, he has no political background, evidenced by the fact that he hasn't been elected, and evidenced by the fact that when he was asked, for example, that what seemed to be early on his Achilles heel about his assets that have now being asked of the Conservatives about what he's doing with the assets, what they're actually vested in. He got very defensive, Catherine, about how he answered
he
that.
got very defensive. He'll have to learn to deal with that. On l'a vu tantôt déjà dans le point de
We've
presse donné par
seen
Pierre Poilievre avec les questions aux
in
journalistes,
the
les questions aux
Poilievre's
journalistes.
announcement when he's answered the media, campaign has started. He was pretty direct. But on the other hand, they're not on a good terms with media because they refuse to have actually banned the medias on their buses and on the plane. It's going to be difficult to make a very balanced coverage of the campaign. But the journalists are saying them, they're going to spend as much time as possible booking planes and
After meeting the Governor General.
2 months ago, I was at a rink in Edmonton where I'd learned to play hockey. And that's about as far as you can get from the grandeur of Rideau Hall. And I was there because I was putting up my hand to run for the leadership of the Liberal Party of Canada. And I was doing that because I knew our country needed to take action. We needed to act to fix our economy. We needed to act to fight the Americans. We needed to act to deal with Donald Trump's tariffs. Il y a 9 jours, notre
9
nouveau
days
gouvernement
ago,
a prêté
our new government was sworn in.
immédiatement
And then
passé à l'action.
we started to work.
Cette semaine, nous avons conclu
This
un
week,
nouvel
we were
accord
able
portant
to
sur la défense
have an
nationale
agreement on national security with Australia. We will be able to protect Canada.
renforcé nos
Then
relations en matière
we
de
strengthen our
sécurité avec
relations
la France,
with France, as well as with the UK. We will be able to protect Canadians.
lancé des discussions
We've also
sur de
launched
nouveaux
discussions about new commercial agreements with
aider
EU
davantage les
in order to help Canadian companies.
We eliminated the tax on carbon for consumers, for small businesses, and for farmers to end the division that it was creating amongst Canadians. Because we are stronger together. We reversed the increase in the capital gains tax so that builders are encouraged to take risks and be rewarded when they succeed. When I met with the premiers in Ottawa on Friday, we agreed to eliminate barriers to trade and mobility inside our country. And the federal government is leading by committing to legislate the end of all federal barriers to interprovincial trade by July 1st. Together, we will push to create one Canadian economy by Canada Day, because we are stronger together. This past week, we acted to protect workers using the proceeds of our retaliatory tariffs against America's unjustified trade actions. We acted to unlock major infrastructure projects and get them moving rapidly, including clean and conventional energy, critical minerals, and new trade corridors with reliable trading partners. We acted to create new supports for farmers and businesses during this trade war. We expanded dental care for millions of more Canadians. And we took all of these actions and more to create the foundation to build a stronger Canada. There is so much more to do to secure Canada, to invest in Canada, to build Canada, to unite Canada. That's why I'm asking for a strong, positive mandate from my fellow Canadians. I've just requested that the Governor General dissolve Parliament and call an election for April 28th. And she has agreed. We are facing the most significant crisis of our lifetimes because of President Trump's unjustified trade actions and his threats to our sovereignty. Our response must be to build a strong economy and a more secure Canada. President Trump claims that Canada isn't a real country. He wants to break us so America can own us. We will not let that happen. We're over the shock of the betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. We have to look out for ourselves. We have to look out for each other. Nous savons que nous devons
We know
veiller
that we
les uns
have
sur les autres.
to look for each other.
Nous ne pouvons pas contrôler le
We
président.
cannot control the US president,
Nous pouvons contrôler
but
notre-
we can control our destiny.
Nous sommes maîtres chez nous.
We are master at home.
We can control our destiny. We can have a new Canada built by us, for us. We can give ourselves more than any foreign government can take away. And the best way we can deal with this crisis is to build our strength here at home and help people who will be hit hardest by these tariffs. That's the right thing to do. That's the fair thing to do. That's the Canadian thing to do. That's what makes us strong. As part of that strategy, today I'm proposing a middle-class tax cut to help all working Canadians get ahead. We will cut the lowest income tax bracket by 1 percentage point. For a middle-class tax cut that will benefit a two-income family by up to $825 a year. Aujourd'hui, je propose de
Today,
réduire les impôts.
I'm proposing a tax income cut for every Canadian workers. We want to reduce by 1% the lowest bracket, income tax bracket. This reduction for the middle class will allow us to give back $825 to a family with two working parents.
Positive mandate to deal with President Trump and to build a new Canadian economy that works for everyone. Because I know we need change, big change, positive change. You see, my generation was fortunate. For us, there were more opportunities and life was more affordable. You had to work hard, but you could get ahead. That was the bargain. But for the generations that have followed, they're working just as hard or even harder than we did. But they're struggling to pay the rent, to put groceries on the table, and to save for their kids' educations.
I spent my whole career trying to understand how the world works and how we can improve it, allowing us to optimize our results. This was our priority. And this has been our priority for the last 9 days. And this will stay the priority of our new government. We have quite a challenge in front of us, but I want Canadians to understand that we have everything needed to succeed here in Canada if we have good jobs and if we work together. Being able to build a strong Canada, to be able to do that, we need everyone. And we need to show leadership for that.
It's easy to be negative about everything when you've never fixed anything. It's easy to be negative about everything when you've never built anything, when you've never had to make a payroll. But negative slogans aren't solutions. Anger isn't action. Division isn't strength. Negativity won't win a trade war. Negativity won't pay the rent or the mortgage. Negativity won't bring down the price of groceries, and negativity won't make Canada strong. Nous avons vu où la négativité
We've
et
seen
la division
where we can hear negative
des États-Unis.
comments, and we can see what happened to the United States with their division. We're stronger together.
S'affaiblir parce
The United States will weaken
Alors,
because they're not united.
unissons-nous en cette période
Let's
difficile.
unite in front of this crisis.
I love Canada. Our country has given me everything. I stood up in Edmonton 2 months ago, and I'm standing here today because I want to give it all back to Canada. So that every Canadian kid, whether they're growing up in Nanaimo or Montreal or St. John or Scarborough or Inuvik, has the same opportunities that I had, the same hope, the same confidence in a brighter future. It's time for all of us to come together and be strong. So I'm asking for your vote so we can be Canada strong. Canada fort.
Canada
Vive
strong.
Canada. And with that, I'd be pleased to take your questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll begin our question period. We'll take 15 minutes of question, one follow-up. Merci. On va prendre 15 minutes de questions, une question et une question suivie. Première question.
Good afternoon, Tonda McCharles with the Toronto Star. Sir, why are you throwing the country into an election in the middle of a tariff war? And if you think it's so necessary now, then why not make it longer so Canadians can really test drive you to see if you represent the change you claim to represent?
Well, a couple of things, Tonda. First is that we have put in place a tremendous amount of change in the 9 days that I have been Prime Minister. That includes changes to taxes, including the announcement today of a middle-class tax cut. But very importantly, we put in place protections for workers. So we made a commitment right from the start that we would use all revenues from retaliatory tariffs to protect our workers. And we put in place changes to the EI system in order to do that. I note that Mr. Poilievre has taken that money and said he will use it for a tax cut. Doesn't care about workers being in place. We put in place protections for businesses through this period. We have shown the scale of our ambition in terms of creating what Canadians have asked for. And I've heard this time and time again across this great country. Canadians want one Canadian economy, not 13. They want us to break down those barriers. So we brought together the first ministers, the premiers of the provinces. We hammered out a consensus about achieving that. We're picking up on the model that Nova Scotia and others have put in place. We're making a commitment at the federal level to legislate the removal of all these barriers by Canada Day, so we can have free trade by Canada Day. So we've done a lot, I could go on, but we've done a lot in the 9 days to put in place many of the foundations. But what's important is that the government has a mandate from the Canadian people to finish the job of building that Canadian economy, to finish the job of diversifying our trading partners, and to have a strong mandate to stand up to Donald Trump and the Americans and negotiate the best deal for Canadians. And that's what I will do.
After that meeting Friday night, you said you linked Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives to Elon Musk and Donald Trump's approach to cutting taxes, regulations, foreign aid. Mr. Poilievre's just staked out his own platform pitch to Canadians right now, today saying that he will stand up to Trump, that a liberal's still just a liberal. So on what basis can you fairly compare the Canadian Conservatives to Trump-style Republican Conservatives?
Well, first, the comparisons are quite easy. You look at the language mirrors, and the track record of language stretches back over years. It's not a recent phenomenon. So straight from the language, number one. Secondly, from the intention. So Elon Musk stands up and says, and the Trump administration eliminates foreign aid. Within a few days, Pierre Poilievre flies in and out of Nunavut and says, I'm going to eliminate foreign aid. By the way, doesn't talk to the premier, doesn't talk to local Indigenous leaders while he's there, not our approach, obviously. So a series of of words plus proposals, which are uncannily familiar with the proposals of the Trump administration. Very different from our approach. Very different from an approach, for example, to building a housing market, both offering much greater supply. Very different from our approach. I'll give you one last example because I know there's a long lineup of questions. Today, we announced that we are going to expand dental care. Now, the dental care program that was put in place several months ago now serves 1.8 million Canadians. 1.8 million Canadians have received dental care under this program. These are people who could not afford dental care previously. Pierre Poilievre pretends they don't exist. We've just expanded the potential pool by another 4.5 million Canadians who also are in that situation. That is a very different approach to Canada. That's a Canada that brings Canadians together, protects all. That's the Canada we're offering.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Ashley Burke, CBC News. You've repealed the capital gains tax changes and you're promising this middle class tax cut, but you're also making new spending commitments. So how do you plan to pay for that? And what kind of cuts will you have to make to keep up with your promise of a deficit below 1% of GDP?
Well, a couple of things. One is that we are looking at driving efficiency in government, in other words, productivity in government, by flipping around the approach to government, which is to concentrate on the outcomes as opposed to the dollars in. And so that's part of the reason why, it's the core reason why we put in place a new Ministry Department of Government Transformation, use a series of reviews on programs, but also new technologies, AI, to drive those productivity. I'm going to, if I may, Ashley, just clarify something which you said, which is that we're differentiating between spending less as a government, and I would recall that government spending has gone up around 9% on average over the last several years. So we're going to get that level of spending increase down. That in and of itself will create room. But what we're concentrating on is Canada investing more. It is time to build. It's a tremendous time to build out this economy. It's what we need to do to create jobs, higher paying jobs and growth. And we will use scarce taxpayers' dollars to catalyze huge private investment in the likes of opportunities that we discussed as First Ministers on Friday. And for those who didn't watch it, I can understand why people wouldn't have watched that, so I'll say it now. This is clean and conventional energy. These are new trade corridors. This is millions and millions of homes in this country to get the cost of new homes down for all Canadians. And that's what we're looking to do as a government. That's what we will do as a government. And we put many of the foundations in place in just 9 days. We're asking for a mandate to finish that job. En français maintenant ou après?
Oui, sur ce que vous coupez juste
Alors,
Can you talk about the cuts? So we're going to be reviewing our budget. We want to increase government productivity. So actually, we want to be more focused on results and not necessarily focusing on expenses as such. Then we want to focus on investing in Canada. We want to use the taxpayer dollars to stimulate private investment. We're talking about housing. We're talking about clean energy and traditional energy projects. We're talking also about critical minerals. This has been discussed with the Premier's meeting this week.
But the Liberal government has been in power for a decade. Your ministers served under the Trudeau government. Why should Canadians believe that you, when you say that you represent something different and change?
Well, I have several things. The first is that you've seen a change in approach and action. It's not words, but action. So the changes to the tax regime that I've mentioned, the changes to our approach to housing, you'll see much more in the coming week in terms of increasing dramatically the supply of housing. Change to the approach to our external trading partners and our security partnerships with the accords with France, with the United Kingdom, the building out with the European Union. Changes to the coverage of healthcare in this economy. So all of those steps, the scale of ambition and change in creating one Canadian economy. And I think one of the things that I would emphasize is that I recognize, and my government recognizes, the need to act dramatically and act rapidly to build an economy that's strong for Canada, to control what we can control, to build for us and by us. That's what we're doing. The other thing I would add is that we have some very strong members of our caucus of ministers. I'm fortunate to serve with them. We are recruiting some exceptionally strong candidates across this country. Some have been announced. Many more will be announced in the coming days. This is a renewed government, and the proof is in the action, and the action has been considerable. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Carney. Christopher Nardi from the National Post. So Alberta Premier Danielle Smith recently said that she had asked the United States administration to pause their tariffs during the federal election because they were benefiting Liberals in the polls and hurting Conservatives under Pierre Poilievre. What is your response to those comments, and will you be able to work with the Premier in light of that revelation?
Well, look, my responsibility is to work with all Canadians, with all stakeholders, certainly with the premiers, with national Indigenous organizations, with Labour, with other stakeholders, with everyone. So that's my responsibility. I take that seriously. I was pleased that at the First Ministers meeting, we had unanimous consent on our communique, on our objectives. We have to follow through with action for that. With respect to the Premier's comments, I take note of her alignment of Mr. Poilievre with Mr. Trump, and would note that that's one of the decisions that Canadians will have to make, whether they want a government that is unifying, that's standing up for Canada, and is taking focused action to build a better economy, or they want division and Americanism. And that's what Mr. Poilievre seems to be offering, and just endorsed by the Premier of Alberta.
In French, on Ms. Smith, please.
En ce qui, oh, mon Dieu. OK. C'est beaucoup.
Yes, that's a lot. First of all, as Prime Minister, I work with all groups, with all premiers, and with all Indigenous leaders, unions, workers, representatives in society. That's my job. And I do my job. There is an example with a consensus that we reached last Friday at the Premier's meeting. Another point, it seems that the Premier of Alberta is saying that, yes, Mr. Poilievre and Mr. Trump are essentially the same. That's a choice that Canadians will have to make. Do they want a Canadian Trump? Or do they want a government that unites the country and that puts the emphasis on action in order to have a strong economy that works for all Canadians? It's not easy to change from one language to the other. No, I have to translate.
Cap immigration until it reached sustainable pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic immigration levels were rising. So will you be lowering, maintaining, or increasing current immigration levels?
Yeah, this is an important question. So the way I would characterize the situation is that post-COVID, there was a surge in immigration, both in temporary foreign workers, in foreign students, as well as permanent immigration. And we have not lived up have not lived up to the bargain with those people. There's not adequate housing. Not everyone who came here for an education was getting an education that they would expect. And a consequence of that, many other aspects, but a consequence of that is the new caps that have been put in place on much lower levels of immigration, including temporary foreign workers, including foreign students. And those caps, or something similar to those levels, in my judgment, need to remain in place until we've expanded housing. We've reabsorbed the levels of immigration that have happened in our country. And so there's not a predetermined point where one would remove or adjust those caps. Si je peux dire, parce que chaque question
If I can say this, because each question seems to be in English and French, so I'd like to say, with regards to Quebec, one aspect of immigration in Quebec is a question of integration of immigrants to Quebec society. We need to have a rhythm of immigration that allows for integration.
Judy Trin with CTV News.
C'est pas chaud aujourd'hui, hein?
Prime Minister Carney, you're a practicing Catholic. You went to church before you visited the Governor General this morning. Do you explicitly support a woman's right to choose? And how will your faith impact your policy deliberations should you win this election?
Thank you for the question. I wouldn't have drawn attention to the fact I went to church, but thank you for noting it. I absolutely support a woman's right to choose unreservedly, and will defend it as the Liberal Party has defended it proudly and consistently. I will defend the Charter proudly and consistently, as the Liberal Party does. I would say this: I don't speak about these matters. I think what's relevant, when I say matters, my personal faith or spirituality, but I'll say what's relevant is that it informs my sense of responsibility and service. I feel, that I should serve our country the best I can. And if I go back to my journey to be standing in front of you here, I did feel at the turn of the year, as the crisis bore down on us and the need for big change, that I should put my hand up and be part of that change. I'm humbled that I was chosen as leader of the Liberal Party. I'm privileged that I have had this time in government, a short time in government. We have made major changes to put Canada in a stronger position, a much stronger position. But much more needs to be done, and that's why I'm standing here in front of you and have asked, and the Governor General has agreed for us to have this election so that we can make real change, positive change that brings this country together and builds an economy that works for everyone.
Why did you choose to run in the riding of Nepean, and what was involved in your decision in terms of also the fact that Mr. Chandra Arya, who has represented this riding for quite some time as a Liberal, what is the situation involving him being disqualified from running in this race? And do you live in this riding?
So several things there in your question. First, the decision of candidates selection or candidate approval, we have within the Liberal Party a committee called the Greenlight Committee, which takes into account various information about candidates, does basic candidate due diligence, if I can put it that way. Mr. Arya, so I am not a member of that committee. And they take their decisions. Mr. Arya, as you know, was disqualified from the leadership race for the Liberal Party because of certain factors. That informed the decision, is my understanding, of the Greenlight Committee to recommend that he be disqualified as a candidate in Nepean. Now, from my perspective, I've been a resident in the Ottawa area for almost 20 years, with the exception, of course, when I was quite obviously a resident in London when I was governor of the Bank of England. But apart from the time when I was governor there, I've been resident in Ottawa. I know Nepean well. I was best man to Peter Chiarelli, grew up in Nepean. So from Barhaven to Bell's Corners and in between, it's an area I know well. And in many respects, it's representative of many of the aspects, not all the aspects, but many of the aspects of this country. Median incomes around probably $55,000, so a little less than the national average, but in there. Very diverse. Both the opportunities and the challenges that we face as a country, and those are challenges that I'm looking to address. That's why I put my hand up. That's why I'm here as Prime Minister. That's what I'm eager to move forward with my Liberal colleagues on. And this is the positive vision that we're putting forward for the people of Nepean, the people of Ottawa, the people of Ontario, the people of Canada. Thank you very much.
In French, and then could we ask another question in French? Okay. First of all, with regards to Mr. Arya, there's a process within the Liberal Party for each candidate it's called the Green Light Committee, and there are considerations that the committee, there are things that the committee has to take into account when they make a decision. With regards to Nepean, I can stop there, and I'll have the final question in French. Yes, go ahead. Hello, Mr. Carney. Le Devoir. My first question, and then a follow-up. You say that you want to make the public service more efficient. Could you give us a couple of examples of programs that you're going to cut? There are two things to that. If we have, for example, a program to fast-track investment in housing, so for each government dollar, how many dollars from the private sector will be invested? So it's a question of productivity, really, not of cuts. And you still didn't speak to Mr. Trump. And relations with the U.S. are now at the heart of voters' concerns. They'll want to choose the best person to face off with President Trump. Given that this will be a very short election campaign, are you prepared to speak with Mr. Trump to show to Canadians that you're able to stand up against him? I am fully able to do that. I'm fully able to stand up to him. There are conditions, though. With regards to the president, he has to recognize that Canada is a sovereign country. He has to say it and accept it before having a broader discussion with regards to a commercial trade agreement. We're always having discussions. That's all. Thank you. That's all for the press conference. Thank you.
And there we have it. Mark Carney, the Liberal leader, taking questions from the media after meeting with the Governor General, Mary Simon, to ask that Parliament be dissolved. And we are now in midst of the 45th general election campaign in this country, now under.
Yes, there we have it there, folks. We are in election mode. We're going to wait for the NDP, Jagmeet Singh, who is going to speak there. I'm just going to wait, and then I will flip it back once we flip over to the NDP. There you have it. Monday, April 28th, Canadians will go to the polls. They will choose if they want a Conservative or if they want a Liberal, an NDP, a Green Party, or the People's Party of Canada, the PPC. So anything is possible. And it looks as though the tweets from Donald Trump has already begun, the flurry of them. But I'm waiting to see, as I can see down below us, I do look to make sure that they go to the NDP. Jagmeet Singh, as he's launching the campaign. Pierre Poilievre is at the airport, from what I understand, and he is taken off and headed, I believe, Prairies or somewhere like that. There, I'm just waiting for maps and trying to get details. Nothing yet there. Usually that there is something, so we will wait. Once Jagmeet Singh, then the Green Party, then I will close this up, and and that's about it there. I will end the live stream, but we got a while to go because we got wait for the New Democrat leader Jagmeet Singh, as he is just outside Ottawa there, and I'm just waiting patiently there. So yes, and as you can see, I'm wearing my Canadian. As you know, we are headed to the polls. That is why I am wearing that. So it's going to be a very interesting race. Everyone is now off and running, and it's going to be the shortest campaign, and the less mistakes that people make there to cross that finish line there. So like I said, it's a 36-day campaign. Usually they're about 37, 38 days. So it is short by just a couple of days there, day or two. And of course, Mark Carney is trying to get all of his candidates. He is in the Ottawa riding of Nepean, and of course, one of the candidates there was kicked out because of they couldn't run in the leadership, and then was disqualified to be a candidate for the Liberal Party. So we're off, we're running, the buses, everything like that. They're all gassed up, shined up, ready to go. They got jobs now. Electoral districts are gearing up. More candidates will be announced, things like that. I'm just waiting for them to switch over to the NDP. And we were going to head to the polls. We're going to have an election, folks. Like I say, pop that popcorn and grab the beer, grab the wine, spritz, you name it, whatever, tequila, because it's going to be a very, very interesting one there. I can tell you right now, it's going to be very tiring, but we're off and running, and we're headed to the polls as Canadians, and it's going to be very interesting. We're just waiting. Like I said, I'm going to cover, I've got Jagmeet Singh, and I've got the Greens, and I'm going to be bringing that to you there, and then I will close up this live stream there, folks. There. So yes, we're headed to the polls, April 28th. That's Monday, and it's going to be a very interesting campaign. Now it is, now it's all in the hands of Canadians. It's all in the hands of them to try to sell you, to see who is the best salesperson. Is it going to be Jagmeet Singh of the NDP, the New Democratic Party? Is it going to be Mark Carney, who is the, I call him interim prime minister, but the Liberal leader? And is it going to be Pierre Poilievre of the Conservative Party of Canada? Or is it going to be Elizabeth May of the Green Party of Canada? And of course, there's a which I don't know the name, and that there. It's a very interesting race heating up. We are headed to the polls. So election, Mary Simon has probably gone over now by limo to and to lock the doors, as now no MP or anything like that can that way no MP can go in there, because it is completely locked there, folks. So I'm just going to wait once the NDP comes on there. I do see them Yes, so there's a bit there. They're transitioning now over to that feed to the NDP there, and I'll bring that to you live. And when the Green Party, or if the deputy, leader, once they do theirs, then it is there. So hang tight there, folks. Thank you so much. Make sure to I know, add hang tight there. I'm just seeing that soon. Okay, yes, so soon. So yes, and that is right there. The news media all over the world will be all over this until and so I will be here. Of course, Trump is is a focus. It is it's a complete it's a topic that many that are on Canadians' minds because their sovereign has been taken away, their sovereignty there. They're trying to take that away. And of course, all leaders are saying they're going to stand up to that. But we are waiting for the new Democratic Party, Jagmeet Singh, and I know that they are trying to get the feed. I think they're having some issues there. So I've now switched to some bubbly pop there. Coffee to pop there. So yes, let's just see. And once it happens there, folks. So again, Mark Carney chosen as the Liberal leader. He was designated as a PM, interim PM there, forced to call an election there. His first trip, he went to Europe and met with the British Prime Minister and, of course, King Charles. Then came back, went to the north, met with the premiers, started spending some money, and now is called a general election for Monday, April 28th. And he is running in Nepean in the Ottawa area there, kicked out, of course, a very popular Liberal candidate there who tried to run in the leadership race but was disqualified for whatever the reasons were. More details upon that. And so I know that the desk is just talking, which you don't want to listen to there. Trump was the main focus. Pierre gave his. Carney gave his. We're waiting for Jagmeet Singh, the NDP, and buses are started to get moving, and I'm sure that Pierre is already on the plane and is headed to his next destination tonight. Although I will not be live tonight, so just wanted everyone to know. This is a very fascinating because Mark Carney was also in Edmonton there, and there was talk that the Randy Boissonneau, the two Randys, remember that one there? We cannot forget about that scandal that the Liberal Party has had there. They're 10 years and still they're asking for a fourth mandate and cannot let that happen there. If you are a conservative, NDP, Jagmeet Singh, but we got to look at the scandals from Trudeau, and then switched masks to the Carney mask to a banker's mask, and now of course we're off and we're just waiting. So yes, I'm just waiting. Of course they're talking. I do see them that they do have a feed. So we're just waiting. This is going to get very fascinating because, like I said, there were scandals. We got to look at the blackface. We got to look at the scandal where Sophie Gregoire Trudeau was paid money, and then he lied and said that he didn't receive anything. Then we had where he booted out Finance Minister Bill Morneau, made Chrystia Freeland. Then there was another scandal that happened there. It was the Arrive Can app there, or people called it the Arrive Scam app there, depending upon how you want to look at it there at different angles. Then Chrystia Freeland was demoted, and Dominic LeBlanc. And then, of course, we now come to this where Pierre Poilievre of the Conservatives was set to win 225 seats. It was set. It was to 225 seats there, and then the Liberals prorogued. They had a Liberal leadership, Mark Carney, who was was there, and everything like that. So yes, and this is where we come to for a Canadian election, and now he went overseas, and now we come to this. So Monday, April 28th, 2025. That is when Canadians will get a chance there, as of course Trump still remains in there. And it'll be very interesting. He has not spoken to Trump. We were told that he was going to possibly have a conversation with him. And to discuss that, Danielle Smith has reached out to Donald Trump saying to please suspend. And now he's aligning both Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative leader, with Danielle Smith, which is very unfair. And so it is going to be an extremely interesting campaign. It is probably going to be the muddiest and everything like that there. So yeah, we are just we're waiting for Jagmeet to hit the podium. That is the new Democratic leader, Jagmeet Singh, as he will begin, and then he's going to go up the road to Montreal. That's where he's going to be tonight. And that's where the party and the dancing shoes get started. And this is when everyone gets there. Yeah, so like I said, we're just waiting. Now I'm just waiting. Come on, you can put them on the screen. So at dissolution, the Liberals had 153 seats. Now there is 343 seats, and a total of 5 seats added, as some of the ridings have been readjusted and everything like that. So when we come back, there'll be 5 more seats that will be there. Welcome everyone. Make sure to hit the like button there. I am doing this politically, not talking about anything else but politics there, because Canada is going to the polls as Monday, April 28th, folks. And this is a day where, well, if you are conservative there, you're pretty much calm. If you're a liberal, you're smiling. If you're a New Democrat, you're worried. If you're a PPC, which is the People's Party of Canada, you're on edge. And if you're the Green Party, there, well, you're going to find a tree to hug. That's pretty much it there. So yes, that's what we're discussing, as I would say unelected Prime Minister Mark Carney has now dissolved, so now he just becomes Liberal leader. He does still have the commands as Prime Minister until the final. Mary Simon, of course, has the final say, can override. She has now dissolved. She's now going to go put the padlocks on the doors, and we're off and running in a race. This is the most, probably the most mudslinging race. It's already started. There's already ads everywhere. I'm seeing them on X. I'm seeing them everywhere. Like, it's already started, folks. So this is going to be, we're waiting for new Democratic Party leader Jagmeet Singh to take the podium there. They are having feed issues. They just said that. They are working on it, apparently. Not sure. But yeah, now we get to hear all the parties, the leaders try to sell Canadians on which party that they want. A banker, Mark Carney, the Liberal leader, Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative Party of Canada, Elizabeth May, the Green Party of Canada, Jagmeet Singh, the New Democratic Party of Canada, and PPC, we got Maxime Bernier. And even though his numbers have even tanked even lower there, his numbers and his riding has got up just a bit there, but still it's going to either be Bloc. And then we got the Bloc Party in Quebec, and we're going to get to see what happens, as this is a 36-day campaign, the shortest in Canadian history. to go to the polls there, so that way Mark Carney does not step on banana peels there and lose a suit over that. Well, he goes to from stop to stop there, so he wants to get this over with so he can get his 185 seats that is projected for the Liberal Party. Get his majority, so that way he says he could just continue to ignore Donald Trump and the tariff threats. So again, it's going to be in their hands to go from coast to coast. There's going to be lots of carbon going back and forth. So carbon tax, Carney is what Pierre is calling him. That it's just a different mask. You go to the dollar store, you get a different mask there, plain and simple. He was Trudeau's advisor. Then you've got Jagmeet Singh, who's saying he's ready to take the job. He's going to submit his resume and try and become the next Prime Minister of Canada. Then you've got Elizabeth May, who also has a vice. So hang on here. I'm just waiting just to see what happens. Okay. Wow. Okay, so there are some notable candidates. Okay, I wish they'd go back there. I should actually... Really? Okay, just hang on here. So there are some candidates. I'd like to show this to you. I'm going to show. I want to do this. Okay, and I'm going to just...
Many Canadians will recognize as a result of her work, but Geneviève, obviously in Quebec,
There we are.
As we say, a star candidate for the Liberal Party.
It's a stronghold, a strong win. It's going to be interesting to see her.
Just listen in on some of the candidates.
Those candidates that enter politics only for one reason, one issue, and this is the case for her. But Quebecers know her for many years, I think 35 years, and she has notoriety, so that's going to be very interesting to see her.
So there were some candidates there. Evan Solomon of CBC is a Liberal, candidate still yet. But I am just looking. Yes, they do. And we're seeing they're gathering behind the podium. Jagmeet Singh will come out to speak soon, laying out his plan and his action, and we will take that to you live. Then we're expected the Green Party shortly after that there, folks. Shortly after, absolutely, it will happen, and then we are going to, get to see that there. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting one there. Oh, wait. Okay, so the Green Party is speaking. I don't know why they don't have it on CPAC, but the Green Party people are speaking. The two of them, Elizabeth May and this person. I cannot bring it. So they are speaking. So once Jagmeet Singh, I guess that'll be the end of this here. So we're just waiting. I am seeing. I think that he is being respectful and letting Elizabeth May and this co-deputy leader take that. So yes, they're just now doing the final communications, and yes, so they are speaking. Elizabeth May, hit the like button. That's what James SKCA. Welcome in there, everyone. Yes, Canadians, finally, it is a day we have been waiting for. We've been waiting this 2 months ago there. The landscape changed. 2 months ago, Pierre Poilievre was going to win a historic 225 seats. Justin Trudeau prorogues Parliament. 2 months. Liberals have a leadership there. Mark Carney, Chrystia Freeland, Katarina Gold, and Frank Biles, all enter the race. On the 9th, we have Mark Carney elected, and then he goes and he gets sworn into cabinet there, and so it's a different one there. Good to see you there, Big D. And now, of course, he went over to see the British Prime Minister, and King Charles comes back, goes to the north, and gives some money everything like that. And we're off, ready to go. This is the most grueling campaign. It's the shortest campaign in Canadian history, 36 days. Usually they go 37, 38. So by a couple days, few days. I think the shortest one before this was a 38-day. That was when Paul Martin back in 2004, 2005, that area there. Donald Trump changed the landscape and is now the Liberals is now up, and it's off to the race. So we're waiting for the new Democratic Party, Jagmeet Singh, to take the podium there. I will bring that to you there. The Greens are speaking and they're screaming, and I'm not going to show you guys that, but I will indeed be showing you the new Democrat Party. I don't know why CPAC doesn't have a reporter for the at the Greens, but maybe they couldn't get in contact. So who knows? Good to see you there, Big D. Make sure that you hit the like button. Thank you guys very much for being here. Make sure you guys are subscribed. I'm on 2 channels, Drinks and Chats, and I'm also on Groovy Media there. Still waiting on word whether or not the Okanagan, in my area there in British Columbia, the interior, what people are running there. So I'm just keeping a close eye so they've got the feedback up, so that's good. They're now gonna proceed, and we should have this soon. Not sure when. But yes, the Liberal Party had a minority, and they were propped up by the NDP, and of course sometimes by the Bloc Party, who are just in Quebec, and that. Anyways, welcome in there, everyone. Good to see everyone. I will bring that to you. I'm just waiting. I wish they would hurry up and get into place there. So I see that they are getting into place, and I see a little tiny thing on the other screen there, but I will absolutely there. So yes, like I said, Canadians, Monday, April 28th, Canadians, go to the polls. And there's a lot of parties. So there'll be the dancing shoes tonight. It's going to be very interesting there. Okay, so ministers that are not running this election is Mary Claude Bibiano, Sean Fraser, Goody Hutchings, Sorora Ferreira. Those are the ones that are not. Goody, I thought Goody she did a good job. Mary Ng, Seamus O'Regan, Carla Qualtra, Pablo Rodriguez, Harjit Sajan, Flamina Tassi, Dan Vandal, Arif Varani, Justin Trudeau. Of course, he was the prime minister, but he has left. So Papineau, they're going to have to get a candidate. Everyone is scrambling to get their candidates, as this was a totally unexpected, one there. So we're just waiting. Okay, so they're absolutely prepping. We see more and more people are coming. So this should be starting shortly. And I do see it in their screen there. So there's a lot of ministers that are not running. There's a lot of areas there that have no candidates for the Liberals, the Conservatives, the NDP have just been. They look like they're working out a sweat. They're maybe at some fitness thing. It's going to be really, really interesting. But it's a scramble now. But the buses, the planes, they're all ready to go. Conservative leader is on his way to his next event there, as Jagmeet Singh will take his bus, head over the bridge, over into Montreal for tonight. Then we have, we don't know where Elizabeth May. I think she's probably going to come back home, sort things out there, and then head out on the road and probably stay just with her area there as her deputy leader guy. He's going to be in Ontario there. So we'll find out more. I'm also going to try and find out where they're going to be tomorrow. If not, do check out CPAC. CPAC. Yes, CPAC is something that you guys want to check out. and they're on. They are on YouTube, and you can follow the campaign and watch along. Just know that you will have French. French speaking is always a language. They do recognize that. So yes. Okay, we're just waiting. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the NDP are going to talk about. I guess that Jagmeet Singh is going to say that Mark Carney has resigned in a short time from his role as prime minister and the Liberal leader, and he is putting his resume forward to Canadians to hopefully take that and to hire them as the man to do the job. He's got experience. He's done this 3 times ago there. Both Pierre Poilievre of the Conservative and Mark Carney have this is their first time on a campaign. Elizabeth May and Jagmeet there. So as we wait, more and more action is happening. We just wait for this to happen, and then we are off. Elizabeth May finished, so yes, now okay, so they switched things. So CBC's on the ball for that there, but I like CPAC there, folks, as we're waiting for a new Democratic leader, Jagmeet Singh, to take the stage, and then once he is done and he's completed, I will then come back on and then end the stream there. So we're just waiting, and we're waiting. There looks to be some ministers in the room. There looks to be some very interesting bodies. And I don't know, maybe they're gassing up. Maybe they need more time, to clean the plane, get things ready to shiny it up so that way they can go coast to coast from west to east in the Maritimes and everything like that. But I'm quite curious. I think that he's going to try and sell Canadians that he has the experience, he has the knowledge, he knows what it takes, he has the amazing candidates, and that he is the guy for the job. So that he's going to try and sell Canadians on that he is the man to be prime minister, to be Canada. I like CPAC. I think that. Well, no, I don't. I definitely disagree with you there. I think that they're actually very good. CPAC. It's not like CBC. CBC is the propaganda one. They're Big D. But CPAC, the Canadian, there's 2. Now remember, there's a CPAC plus. It's a red one, or there is. So there's 2. I looked, and so I could not believe it. One of them is American, the CPAC, which is the red, and then the other one is the Canadian. Yes. There is more seats up for grabs there, James, but however, they're saying that it's going to come down to be okay. Here we are. We got to go.
And most importantly, you, the people who make this country great. Thank you. My parents chose Canada because they believed in the promise of a country where if you worked hard, you can build a good life, where we look out for one another and no one gets left behind. That's who we are. That's what makes us Canadian. The things that we are most proud of as Canadians didn't just happen. They were not gifts from the powerful. New Democrats fought for them because you believe that if you get sick, you get care. So we fought for and won universal health care. Because no one should go bankrupt trying to pay a hospital bill. We believe that if you've worked hard all your life, you should be able to retire with dignity. So we fought for and won pensions. We believe that you have the right to join a union. So you can demand fairness and stand up to the boss. So we fought for those rights and we won. We believe that whoever you are, whether you were born here or you came here, whatever the color of your skin, whoever you love, or what pronouns you use, however you worship or what you believe, you belong, you are valued, and you have every right to everything this country has to offer. These are NDP values. These are Canadian values. That's the Canada I love, and that's the Canada worth fighting for. And when New Democrats are elected, that's exactly what we do. Even before Donald Trump started his greedy trade war, times were tough. And we fought to make things better for you and your family. Paid sick days and laws to protect you at work, that was us. Dental care, so you don't have to choose between living in pain and buying groceries, that was us. Pharmacare, so you can afford the medicine your doctor prescribes, that was us. Because we believe that the promise of Canada belongs to all of us. Let me tell you a story of Brianna. Brianna is a mom that I met in Edmonton. I met her in a park with her beautiful family. She's got 5 kids, single mom, and so she is struggling. So this is all she could do is to keep the roof over her head, to support her kids, to put food on the table. And so as a mom, she had to make some sacrifices. She had to make some tough choices. And one of the things that she had to do, given how expensive things are, is she could not afford to take her kids to the dentist. And she felt a lot of mom guilt. It's a feeling that a lot of parents understand, that feeling that you're not doing everything you can to take care of your kids. And so she felt that guilt until we fought for and delivered dental care for kids. That dental care meant the difference for her family. The first time that they saw a dentist was because of that plan we fought for. And she told me that her eldest actually turned out to have a rare condition that they caught early, and now he's gonna have an awesome life. Her other kids were able to get dental care for the first time in their lives, and they're happier and healthier. And I can attest to that because I saw them in that park smiling and playing. I can remember that look of joy on their faces and that feeling that Brianna had, knowing that she had been able to take care of her kids. Brianna is who we fight for, and we will keep fighting for her and every Canadian. But today, that promise of a great future is slipping further and further away. I hear it everywhere I go. A mother sitting at her kitchen table, bills spread out in front of her, wondering if she can pay the rent or still afford groceries. A young couple scrolling through listings, realizing that owning a home is slipping further out of reach. A senior without a family doctor, waiting for the healthcare they need. And now, because of Donald Trump's illegal trade war, things are getting even more expensive. Thousands of Canadians are losing their jobs. The people who built this country are paying the greatest price, and that's not fair. They deserve a government that has their backs. You deserve a government that has your back, and we will fight like hell to make sure that happens. You deserve a prime minister you can trust to make decisions in your best interest, not to advance his personal wealth. And we know that someone who's going to be fighting in your best interest, that's not Mark Carney. He has spent his whole career serving the interests of billionaires, of shareholders, and CEOs. He makes decisions that benefit people like him. He's not our guy. Because anyone who profits off the crisis should not be in charge of fixing it. Right now, the people who built this country, the folks without multi-million-dollar portfolios, without blind trusts or hedge funds, the people who earn their living by showing up to work, who dream of owning a home, raising a family, and retiring with a modest pension, they're being abandoned. Mark Carney spent his career making sure the system worked for the most wealthy, not for you. While families struggle to pay rent, He was helping banks and investors profit off the housing crisis. When people needed relief, he made sure corporations driving up prices kept raking in profits. He cashed in while Canadians were struggling. Now he wants you to believe he'll fix the very things that made him and his friends richer. He won't fight for everyday people because that's not who he is. And that won't change now. And Pierre Poilievre, his only solution is tax breaks for the wealthy, and that will cost you. He pretends he's on your side, but in the back rooms, he's cutting deals with the very billionaires, jacking up your rent and groceries. He posed in front of workers who had just lost their jobs, and he said nothing about fixing EI to help them pay the bills. Pierre Poilievre talks about freedom, but he's only offering freedom for the ultra-rich, freedom for corporations to jack up your rent, freedoms for billionaires to avoid paying taxes, freedom for big corporations to buy up our healthcare. Where he has promised to make deep cuts, making wait times even longer, pushing more people into private for-profit clinics. He wants to gut environmental protections, handing more control to big polluters who put profits ahead of clean air and water. He would strip away supports that help Canadians make ends meet, forcing families to fend for themselves while billionaires get even richer. When times get tougher, he won't step in. He'll step aside. That's not leadership. That's not a plan that will build a Canada we can be proud of. Let me be perfectly clear. We will never be Trump's 51st state, not in name, not in values, not ever. Elbows up, everybody. And I won't let anyone in this election tell Canadians that the only way to beat Donald Trump is to become more like his version of the United States, where billionaires rule and everyday people pay. Now, I get it. Right now, it can feel like a storm is closing in on us. People are looking for shelter, for protection, for someone to keep them and their families safe. People who are afraid a Pierre Poilievre government might make them think they have no choice but Carney. But this is like being told you have to pick between a leaky house, a house with a leaky roof, or a cracked foundation. One patched together with empty conservative slogans, the other rotting from the inside after years of liberals protecting the most wealthy. Now, those houses are not the same, but neither will hold up when the storm hits, because neither was built for you. People will tell you in this election that it's about who can negotiate with Donald Trump. I'm here to tell you the real question is, who will make sure you and the things that you care about are not on the table? When Donald Trump comes demanding concessions, who will say no to trading away Canadian jobs or the things we grow and build and ship? Who will stop them from bargaining with environmental protections just to protect corporate profits? Who will fight back when Mark Carney says we have to cut healthcare or pensions to keep investors happy? Who will stand up when Pierre Poilievre says you have to accept an American-style healthcare system where you pay more? Also, he can give tax breaks to billionaires. Only New Democrats can be trusted to look out for you. Donald Trump is showing us in real time what happens when billionaires and the people who work for them are in charge. Everything gets more expensive. Rights get stripped away, and regular people are left to clean up the mess, while the wealthy walk away richer. We don't need that here in Canada. We don't need that at all. We all know that we're in for a rough road ahead. Things are already tough. And at the end of the day, only New Democrats will fight to make sure you don't pay the price when things get harder. I'm running in this election to fight for you, not the billionaires. New Democrats have a strong and proud record of getting things done. When prices skyrocketed, we fought for relief. When people were laid off, we fought for jobs and better support. When corporate greed ran wild, we went after the billionaires like Galen Weston, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos. Because when families are struggling, when your job and livelihood is on the line, when prices are soaring, New Democrats choose you every time. The wealthy and powerful will never hand us change. They have too much to lose. Each victory for Canadians, for families, and for working and middle-class people, from pensions to public health care, was won because people like you fought for it. Billionaires don't stay rich by playing fair. They don't wake up one morning and decide to stop gouging you at the grocery store. They don't just decide to lower your rent or to raise your wages. That only happens when we demand it, when we fight for it, and when we win. Do not let the rich and powerful tell you that you deserve less. Do not let them convince you that in a time of crisis, you must sacrifice while they profit. Because when the storm hits, they won't feel it. They'll have golden parachutes, private clinics, and tax shelters. But for working and middle-class families, the only way life gets better is by standing together and electing leaders who will fight for you, not for the billionaires. That's what this election is about. That's what's at stake. We see what's happening in the US. Greed is tearing it apart. And those same forces are banging at our door. We can and we must fight back. We're not here to patch up a broken system for the next storm. We are here to rebuild it stronger, safer, and fairer for everyone. I believe that's worth fighting for. You are worth fighting for, and I'm in it for you. Thank you so much. Merci. Merci. Thank you. Thank you. Partout où je vais, les gens sont
Everywhere I go,
fatigués.
people are tired and they're worried and they're losing hope that things will never improve. They're very afraid of the impact of Donald Trump and his tariffs. And they're afraid that the ultra-rich have taken over the control of the US. We don't want that here. People are doing everything and even at everything correctly. And even then, it's hard to afford groceries and pay the rent. And huge corporations have record profits. I went into politics because I was sick and tired of seeing people struggle when CEOs are getting richer again and again and again. I'm before you today because I believe in Jack's dream, because I wanted to improve people's lives. Jack Layton didn't want us to just be the conscience of Parliament. He wanted us to be in government. He wanted us to rally progressives throughout the country so that Ottawa would finally work for people, not for CEOs. And this is the dream that I want to follow through. I'm not working for Elon Musk and Galen Weston. I don't want to be Prime Minister for Brookfield and banks. I want to be a Prime Minister for workers in this country. During these difficult times, this is what people need. Cynics will say that it's not possible. This is what I've been told my whole life, and this is what we were told for the healthcare system, and Tommy Douglas and the NDP succeeded despite this. That's what people said for dental care, and we succeeded despite that. This is what they said for pharmacare, and we did that as well. That's what they said. That's what they said for the anti-strike, anti-scab legislation. And we did that too. CEOs and billionaires have already been in government. Now it's your time. Ottawa governments don't work for you. And Mark Carney's not going to change that. And he spent his entire career making rich CEOs richer on the backs of people. He was the president of Brookfield. When they did all those rent evictions, he lied on the environmental footprint of his company to make more money. And he will continue to make CEOs richer when people will struggle even more. It's a question of priorities. Mark Carney has shown what his priorities actually were. The first promise that he made was to cut taxes for millionaires, when he's going to cut jobs and services for the middle class. It's not surprising that he doesn't want to be transparent on his assets. He doesn't want you to know who he's actually working for. Pierre Poilievre is going to cut into services for the middle class to give more to billionaires. We'll cut into the healthcare system when it's crumbling. We need to build more housing, not less. He'll cut into EI. Workers need EI for protection. He'll cut into dental care. When everything is more expensive, people are going to pay the price, and CEOs are going to pay less. And it's not the Bloc that's going to protect Quebecers. The Bloc Québécois, over these past few years, they were totally useless, and I don't understand. Blanchette is always saying that he's going to do what's best for Quebecers, but he's doing quite the opposite. He voted to cut dental care. He voted to block funding to make contraceptives and diabetes medication free, two measures that help millions of Quebecers.
And now he's saying that he's ready to support Poilievre, a conservative party that will cut everything that is dear to the heart of Quebecers. How can this be good for Quebecers? There will be a choice during this federal election. In this very difficult time, do you want MPs that will be there to protect and help CEOs, or Neo-Democrat MPs that will protect the population and make sure that your bills are going down? With Trump threats, you need someone that will be there for everyday Canadians, and not someone who gives more power to the elite. An NPD party will fight for people working together, facing these issues. We want a society where everyone can have a roof on their head without having to spend everything and be able to feed themselves. We want to have a free healthcare systems ready to help you when you need it. We will protect our job, the French language, Quebec's cultures, our waters, and everything that is dear to us against Trump's attacks, and avoiding having Canada as a state. Over the past years, we've been able to show you that we're in for you, and we're able to deliver for you, not for CEOs. And we are not done. Progress and changes doesn't come from anywhere. We have to fight for it. The elite and the rich will not allow us to change. They have too much to lose. Workers were able to have some gains because there were fights for that. Together, let's build the country of our dreams. Thank you so much.
Merci, merci, merci. Merci.
Thank you so much.
Merci. Thank you, thank you. Thanks so much. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. On va passer maintenant à la période de questions. We'll now take the media questions. We'll go with one question, one follow-up. Please tell me your name and your media.
Hi, I'm Christy Kirkup with the Globe and Mail. Mr. Singh, with all due respect, you are the most experienced federal leader, but you're going into this campaign considered the underdog. How is that possible?
Well, I'm very familiar and comfortable being an underdog. I think a lot of Canadians can relate to that. But what I'm looking at right now is I'm seeing a country where there's a lot of workers who are worried about losing their jobs. I hear people worried about the cost of living getting even more expensive. And I know that folks like Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney would want nothing better than for the New Democrats to disappear. For us not to point out the fact that Mark Carney's first steps was to bring in a tax cut for millionaires at a time when he's promising also his plan is to cut services for people. And that Pierre Poilievre shows up to a factory where workers had just lost their job. And he proposes a tax cut for big business and nothing for those workers who lost their job. I'm sure they would want nothing other than for us to disappear and not point out those things. But news to them, we're not going anywhere. We're here and we're gonna fight for people every single day.
And just as a follow-up, if I may just drill down on you. Again, it's your third campaign. So why are you deserving of a job promotion going into an election campaign with such weakened support?
Well, we've shown Canadians who were feeling really like a lot of struggle and worries that we can deliver for them. When people were saying that we can't afford to take care of our teeth, we delivered dental care. For folks that were telling us that they couldn't afford their medication, we delivered pharmacare. We've delivered for Canadians. And I want folks to know in this time when there are serious threats to our country, we know that the other guys aren't in it for you. They've showed you their priorities. Mark Carney spent his career making rich people richer, and he's done it profiting off of the crisis, like the housing crisis. Pierre Poilievre, like Conservatives always do, wants tax cuts for his billionaire buddies and cut services for you and your family. You want someone that's going to fight for you, that's always going to put you and your family first. Not the billionaires, not the CEOs, but you. That's us. That's New Democrats. And that's what we're going to show you every single day of this campaign.
Thank you very much. Next media.
Hi, Mr. Singh, Taria, Isri Global News. During your speech, you described Carney as an elitist and Poilievre as someone who cuts deals with billionaires. But poll after poll shows that their messages are resonating more than yours. So why do you think that is?
Well, this is an important election. And in this election, we're going to show Canadians the choices that they have. Mark Carney is already showing you now his priorities. What are some of the first things that he did once becoming prime minister? He did a flip-flop on capital gains, which is a tax cut that benefits mostly people who earn more than $1.4 million a year. He is prioritizing the people that he's always worked for his whole career. Not surprising. He has made rich people richer, and he's done it on the backs of working class folks. He's done it on the backs of the middle class folks. And so I want folks to know that. They need to know who he's in it for. And Pierre Poilievre, his plan is also one that's going to give tax breaks to billionaires and cut services for you. He's already said he's going to cut, his plan is to cut dental care. He wants to cut pensions. He's already put that plan forward. He wants to cut the things that you and your family need to give more to his billionaire buddies. We are different. We are proposing a plan. Our plan is to lower your bills, to take on the corporate grocery giants that jack up your prices, put in place a price cap on those food essentials, to ban corporations from buying up affordable homes. We are going to fight for you. Every day of this campaign, we're going to show you the choices that you have, and we're going to make it clear that New Democrats have your back and that we're in it for you.
You also seem to tie both Carney and Poilievre to Trump in their own ways, if I'm reading that correctly. Do you think both of those leaders are Trump-like in their own way, and is that part of your strategy in this campaign to tie them to the U.S. president?
Well, let's be clear. Donald Trump has come out and endorsed Mark Carney. Elon Musk has endorsed Pierre Poilievre. I'm the only federal candidate that is 100% not endorsed by the Donald Trump administration.
Merci beaucoup. Prochain média, Radio-Canada.
Radio-Canada? Actually, I can repeat everything in English.
Elon Musk has endorsed Pierre
Elon
Poilievre.
Musk
Donald Trump has endorsed Mark Carney. I'm the only candidate 100% not endorsed by anyone in the Donald Trump administration. Et en français, parce que j'ai
And I have
hâte
to
de
repeat
répéter
it
ça,
also
parce
in the
que
other language. It's very important for everyone to understand the situation. Mark Carney has been endorsed by Donald Trump. Elon Musk endorsed Pierre Poilievre. I'm the only federal candidate
100%
that
non
has
appuyé par l'administration
no support
de Donald Trump.
by the Trump administration. First question. Daniel Lapointe, Radio-Canada. You talked about Jack Layton's dream, but the only seat that you have in Quebec is not even a safe seat for you. So what do you have to offer that what can you offer to Quebecers to change the trend? Answer. So for Quebecers and Canadians, I think we have a track record. We show what we were able to do with power. We were able to deliver. We're talking about dental care. It's a program where more than 500 million Quebecers receive some services. More than 1 million Quebecers are registered in the program. The Liberals voted against, they resisted, and we forced them to move forward. Conservative, even the Bloc, voted against dental care, even if this is a program that helped many Quebecers, many are registered, but the Bloc voted against. The Bloc is a useless party in Quebec. They were not able to deliver. We showed that we were able to do so. We did with pharmacare, dental care. I think we have a good track record. We can not only talk about the big issues, but we can have actions for people.
Donc, nouveauté en termes de nouveautés, on
So,
verra pendant la campagne.
is there anything new that we'll be hearing about during the campaign? Yes, we'll have ideas to put forward. This is your third campaign. When we look at the figures in the polls, there is quite a slide.
Seulement, il y a des décennies passées.
The NDP hasn't been this low in the poll for decades. How can you convince Quebecers or Canadians that you're the right person to get the message across?
Que dans toute cette guerre commerciale,
If at this point you're concerned that the economic war and Donald Trump's threats are jeopardizing your jobs, are raising the cost of living, if you're concerned that the only solutions you've heard from Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre are helping the ultra-rich and not you and your family, then we are the people you should pick, because we've shown that every decision we make is to help ordinary Canadians. We're not working for the super rich. We're not working for CEOs. We're in it for you. And we will be showing that. We will be showing that our priority is workers, ordinary Canadians, and we'll show how we can achieve that.
Toronto Star. You're spending quite a bit of time attacking Mark Carney and his record. He's not spending much time talking about you. You're spending a lot of time talking about Pierre Poilievre and his record. He's not spending much time talking about you. Why do you think that is?
Well, I want these folks to know, I want Canadians to know what they're really about. And I'm sure Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre would love for me not to mention what they're really trying to do and what their plan is about. But that's what we're going to do in this campaign. We're going to let folks know honestly what the other parties want to do. Mark Carney is showing us in real time his priorities. He's shown you that his priority is to do what he's done throughout his career to make rich folks richer. He did that when he was the head of Brookfield, that engaged in rent evictions, that kicked people out of affordable homes and put those homes back on the market for triple the price they were before. He made money off the housing crisis, off of people struggling to find a home. People need to know that. They need to know that his priority is tax cuts for millionaires and cutting services for you and your family. People need to also know that Pierre Poilievre wants to do what conservatives always do. They want to cut services like healthcare, like dental care, like pensions. They want to cut them so they can give bigger tax breaks for their billionaire buddies. People need to know the choices they have, and they also need to know you Democrats will always have their back. We will lower your bills, build homes you can actually afford, bring down the price of groceries, make your life better.
And if Canadians elect a minority conservative or liberal government in this election, would you commit to working with either of them, or is there one in particular you wouldn't want to work with?
This is day one of the election campaign. I'm running to be prime minister of this country because I believe people deserve a prime minister that's going to work for them every single day. And that's what New Democrats, we work for working people. We work for everyday families. And I think people deserve that. So that's what we're going to do. We'll worry about the results of the election afterwards. I'm running for prime minister because I believe in you and I choose you.
Thank you very much. Le devoir.
Le devoir. Thank you, Mr. Singh. I had another question, but with all due respect, you didn't answer my colleague's question. You have been talking about what policies, social policy you got the Liberal government to put in place. If you had the opportunity, would you cooperate with the Carney government to put in more social policy? This is day one of the election campaign. I'm running to be prime minister of this country. I will talk about options after the results, after people decide. But I think that on day one of the campaign, I should simply introduce myself and explain what I want to do. I'm running to be prime minister. During a good part of 2024, you talked about the choice between Pierre Poilievre and yourself. I didn't hear you repeat that message today. Are you walking back what you said earlier, that the important thing in this election is to beat Pierre Poilievre, or do you think that the ballot box question has changed? There are options in this election. I'm presenting the options. You have a choice. Pierre Poilievre is one of the choices, and his plan is to cut services. So it will cost you dearly to elect him. He will cut healthcare. In Quebec, healthcare services are a mess, and he'll cut them further. This is unacceptable. And it will cost Canadians a lot. He wants to do all that so that he can bring down taxes for his ultra-rich friends. The other choice, another choice is Mark Carney, who'll continue to do what he's done his entire career. He has enriched the rich, made them the wealthy wealthier, and he's already shown what his priorities are. Tax cuts for the ultra-rich, millionaires, service cuts for you and your family. And we, the NDP, want to bring down your bills, build affordable housing. We want to deal with the crises in your life and make life more affordable. Those are the choices in this election, and those are the choices we'll continue to present. CBC.
This election, Mr. Singh, is about a couple of things. One of those things is certainly change. Do you feel that your past support for the Justin Trudeau government is going to make it harder for you to embody change?
What we have shown, folks, is that we can deliver real change. We can deliver concrete changes in your life. We have shown you that when we go out and campaign on dental care, we can deliver it. I think about this boy that I met in Parliament with his dad. He wanted to visit me and talk to me about his illness. He's a kid with type 2 diabetes, young kid living with an incurable disease. And though he's got to take injections and he's got to take medication just to stay alive, he told me that he was not worried about any of that. The injections, the medication, monitoring his blood sugar, none of that bothered him. He was worried that he was a burden on his dad. And I promised that kid that I was going to fight like hell to make sure he didn't have to worry about the cost of medication. And I kept my promise. We have now a pharmacare program. 3 provinces have signed up where diabetes medication and devices will be free. That's what we did. We made that happen. That was never going to happen with Liberals on their own. That was never going to happen without New Democrats forcing it to happen, making it happen. So we can deliver real things that make people's lives better. And I want you to know that when I promise to bring down prices, when I promise to take on corporate greed, when I promise to ban corporations from buying up affordable homes, you can trust me because I deliver.
Mr. Singh, I'll just follow up here. You had a lot to say about Mark Carney and a lot about what he's done to cash in on this crisis, you said. What evidence do you have that Mark Carney has done anything unethical to take advantage of this crisis?
Well, the fact that he headed up Brookfield, and Brookfield is a large corporate landlord in Canada that engaged in rent eviction. At a time when Canadians could not find affordable homes, he saw a way to make more profit for his company. And now I don't fault him for making profit for his company. I fault him for proposing that somehow the person that fed the housing crisis, that rent evicted people, that jacked up the price of homes that were affordable, that bought up affordable homes, then turned them into unaffordable places, that somehow that guy could be trusted to fix the housing crisis. He cannot be trusted. What he's going to do is what he's done his entire career, which is make more money for the super rich. And it's going to hurt you and your family. That's what people need to know. And I'm going to point that out every time I get. I'm also going to point out that Pierre Poilievre is proposing to cut the things that you need at a time of uncertainty and fear and worry. He wants to cut healthcare, cut pensions, cut childcare. These are things that are going to cost you out of pocket. And he's doing all of that just to give bigger tax breaks to the richest, as conservatives always do. You deserve better than that. You deserve New Democrats who will bring down your bills, build homes you can afford, and make sure life is more affordable.
Last questions, CTV.
Hey, Rachel Aiello, CTV News. Have you had or did you try to have any conversations with Liberal leader Mark Carney since he won that election?
No, we've not had any conversations.
And so heading into this campaign, you're talking a lot about look at what the NDP were able to do in the last parliament. How are you going to cross the country trying to pitch Canadians on that message when you've got no assurances that your old dance partner's new leader wants to tango with you at all?
Well, because I don't want to dance with them. I want to be the prime minister of this country. I want folks to know that we got things done and you can see that we delivered for you. Imagine if you elect more of us, how much more we can do for you. Imagine if you elect a New Democrat government, what we could do for you. That's what I want people to know.
Thank you. This ends the press conference. En français, s'il vous plaît, Monsieur Singh.
Sorry, I'm just going to jump in here because you never.
Non, est-ce que vous voulez répéter, Monsieur Singh, en français?
Mr. Singh, would you like to repeat that in French? Yes, this was a question on whether I'd be ready to dance with a new Liberal leader. I'm not here to dance with any party leader. I'm here to become Prime Minister of Canada to deliver for Canadians. We've had an opportunity to deliver change that has helped people with a minority government. And imagine what we could do if we had an NDP government that every single day would work for you and your family. Think about what we could achieve together.
Thank you very much. C'est ce qui termine notre conférence de presse. Merci beaucoup tout le monde.
And there you have it, Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the federal NDP party, launching
All right, so yeah, that's it. And that concludes, today's stream. Thank you guys so much. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, share this out, and stay tuned. And like I said, so yes, Monday, April 28th, Canadians will go to the polls. Have a good rest of your, Sunday, and stay focused and watch these salespeople with you there. Bye, everyone, and goodbye for now.